We have him first.
Check. I hope. That was
Probably
switching
got to give
on.
Ibo a
Right,
shout
we
out
are
as
live. Let's hit the intro. Welcome to the Hop Edition podcast, brought to you in association with The Malt Miller, your go-to choice for premium homebrewing ingredients and equipment. Whether you're a beginner starting out or an experienced brewer, The Malt Miller has got you covered. So for top quality products and customer service, jump over to themaltmiller.co.uk and tell them the Hop Edition sent you. We would also like to thank all our Patreons for their continued support with running and developing the pod. If you would like to become a member and gain access to exclusive perks and benefits, head over to patreon.com/The Hop Edition. Now it's time to get this pod started, so crack open a homebrew and enjoy the episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 88 of the Hop Edition podcast, and tonight we'll be drinking some competition beers and giving our take on some beers that we have recently entered into homebrew competitions. So let's just see how close we are to the actual judging notes, and we're going to broadly talk a bit about BJCP and judging and kind of bring to life the difficulty really, I think, actually of judging beers. So before we get started, quick reminder about our wonderful sponsor, the Malt Miller, the go-to supplier for everything homebrew in the UK, and definitely check out their new WHC yeast that they have in stock.
Is that high voltage?
Yeah, there's some new
mangoes.
What was the description?
Mango Madness, the other one.
Mango tolerant yeast.
Yeah. Yeah. I chucked it at an impy, and it tore through it in about 5 days.
Nice.
How high voltage did you run it?
30 degrees.
Yeah, toasty.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. So yeah, check out the Malt Miller. You can also check out the Malt Miller's dedicated Hop Edition recipe section, where you can find a range of beers that we've featured on the podcast, including our own creations, which we are regularly adding to with the support from Stiffer Malt Miller. And there's also some absolute stunners from previous guests we've had on the podcast. And just a final request, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page so you can stay up to date with all the announcements, as well as interacting with the podcast during our live streams. So we will post, if you are following along live, I'll post the links in the chat. So as we start to get into this podcast, just want to say a big thank you to all of our Patreons for the ongoing support for the podcast. We couldn't do what we do without you guys. And I want to give out a shout out to a new Patreon who's joined our second American Patreon, Charlie J. Well, welcome aboard, and thanks, Charlie, for your support. So, format for this evening. We've got 5 beers lined up for tonight. I'm just going to say a big shout out and a thank you to Christian Ibbotson, a Patreon, a big follower of the podcast, who's kindly sent us 2 beers. We're going to have 2 beers of mine and a beer from Tricky. And in terms of format, we're going to be cracking the beers, obviously, and then we're going to be essentially rating the beers ourselves and discussing what we think about the beers across the 5 predominant areas of the scoring sheets, typically, that they use in homebrew competitions. So that's aroma, appearance, flavour, mouthfeel, and overall score. And we can also talk about any potential off flavours and faults in the beer, which tends to get captured. So yeah, I think that was pretty much the intro done. Hopefully everyone's up to speed with what we're going to be getting up to tonight. I think the first beer that's coming up is going to be Christian Ibbetson's Czech Lager, punching in at 5.6%. Just to add, we do also have all of the feedback sheets that we've gotten back from having entered these beers into the competitions. So we're going to judge them. We're going to kind of score them ourselves, and then we're going to have a look at what the actual competition judge feedback was, just to see if there's some alignment or any differences. Hello, Chris. Do you want to say hi to the gang? He's just
Good
dropped
evening,
in.
Christopher.
No.
No, there we go.
Okay. I'm sure you'll chirp in at some point.
Evening, you wonderful fucking humans.
Just to follow on from what Owen was saying there about the format, I think it's important to point out we're not here to sort of rip into the judging on any of these particular beers, or say, oh, that was way out, way out of line, blah blah blah, my beer should have won the comp, etc etc. This is not the point of the episode. It is about really just sort of discussing the judging process and having a go at it ourselves and seeing where it compares, and also talking about the elements of judging which can be subjective, but also we can talk about the challenges of judging. I'm going to get my excuse in early and say that I've got a little bit of a cold kind of percolating through the system at the minute,
I think everyone's
which
dying.
is certainly something which can affect things. So you may see me muting myself occasionally just to hack my guts up, and my voice going a bit croaky. But yeah, I'm not too congested at the minute, so it's not completely wiped out my sense of smell and taste, but it's getting there. So things like that can affect your ability to judge a beer, and obviously it doesn't, training aside, everyone is going to have things that affect their palate day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, depending on what they've eaten beforehand, whether they smoke or vape, whether they've had an illness recently, whether they have issues with their sense of smell due to their actual ability to even breathe through their nose properly. Somebody nearby may have dropped an absolute stonking fart recently. There's all sorts of things that can impact on there. The pressure of being in a judging environment potentially can throw things off. There's so many variables there that obviously, being a trained judge, great, but there's still going to be lots of things that come into it. And so I guess, to start off with, it's just sort of a case of kind of going, anyone that's willing to throw their hat in the ring and judge beers is actually, good for you for doing that, because you're kind of putting yourself out there, and, fair play, because it's a very difficult thing to do. I mean, I find it difficult even to, sort of judge beers in a completely informal setting like a home brew club and things like that, where people are asking you for genuine feedback, and you don't want to just start saying things that you think may or may not be right, but so yeah, anyway, so I think it's important to say that before we kick off.
I would agree. Just to add on that point, we are kind of dealing with a degree of subjectivity, right? There is an element of personal input to the field of whatever the word was, I was struggling to find the word, but even though the guidelines are kind of there to determine the guardrails and the parameters of particular styles, it's still down to kind of personal perception. One smell is going to be different for one person than it is to another, and all the rest of it. So there's an element of when you're sort of qualifying something, it is very difficult to be super consistent. Right?
Yeah, I think those guidelines are there to try and minimize the subjectivity, but that's always going to be an element to it. And you also have to think about people's different sensitivities to, especially with things like off flavors as well. Like, some people will be able to pick out diacetyl like instantly, whereas others might not notice it at all. So there's going to be differences in just people's palates, which are going to have a massive impact, to the point where somebody might think a beer is amazing versus somebody who almost instantly sort of turns their nose up at it, literally, because they're picking up an off flavour or smell on the beer. So
we had a good
tough.
conversation. Good conversation earlier in the week actually about off flavours, and I think we concluded that a good way to become very sensitive to an off flavour is to brew a beer that has that off flavour in it very clearly, and then drink a whole keg of it.
Yeah.
And then you know exactly what that off flavour is all about for the rest of your life. So, for me, acetaldehyde is one that I can pick up very easily. I struggle with diacetyl, actually. But it's certainly, there's an element of like palate training and kind of training your nose and all that good stuff. So, anyway, with all that said, should we jump in?
Yeah.
Can I just jump in, because there was one little thing I wanted to read out at this point. Everybody knows that I have no love for the vast majority of BJCP judging, and they know this because I often talk about it as if it's a ballet contest. Well, everybody's just said it's a fucking ballet contest because it's individual interpretation of a style. Okay, so that aside, one of the things that I wanted to say, and I actually wrote this down because I thought it was very accurate the way that I'd written it down. I have absolutely no doubt that amongst the BJCP judges that are out there, there are probably an overwhelming amount of judges doing it for the right reason, with an adequate level of capability to do the job to an effective level. I may bag on things, and I may do it for comedic value, and I may do it in an overbellious fashion. But the bottom line is, we need more BJCP judges, otherwise there's not going to be very many BJCP competitions. And there's a vast number of people at the moment out there who are not qualified, who have not taken their BJCP judges exam and are judging BJCP contests. That is, for me, the core of the issue. And I think genuinely that is something that needs to be resolved. But we will talk about that later on. Other than that, I've got Christian's beer in front of me. Can I just say that my rating is it's banging? Do you need out else?
That's it. Chris is done.
Sweet.
Chris is bagging.
We're gonna get through this.
Just to formalise it a little bit more than whether it's banging or not, we'll if you guys want to sort of do a little bit of pondering over Chris's beer, and I'll just do a quick run through on some of the key points from the style guidelines, and then we can kind of rotate that as we go through the beers. You guys sort of jot some notes down and maybe some numbers against those categories. So for anyone who's not familiar,
nobody told me there was writing.
I know, me too.
You don't have to write. You just
you
put it in your head.
Note it, yeah.
But for anyone who's not familiar with the BJCP scoring system, so we have categories for aroma out of 12, appearance out of 3, flavour out of 20, mouthfeel out of 5, and overall impression out of 10, which gives you a total score out of 50. So based on that kind of scoring regime, anything which is, I don't think beers tend to ever get scored below 13, but 13 or below major off flavours and aromas dominate, essentially undrinkable. 14 to 20 is given as fair, so off flavours, aromas, and major style deficiencies present. 21 to 29 is still rated as good, so even though people may be disappointed with a score in that sort of range, it's still technically rated as a good beer. Misses the mark on style and or minor flaws. Very good is 30 to 37, generally within style parameters with minor flaws. Excellent 38 to 44, exemplifies the style well, requires minor fine tuning, and 45 to 50, which is extremely rare to see a beer scoring that high. So if you ever have scored 45 to 50, well done. World-class example of style. Looking at the Czech Premium Pale Lager, appearance should be medium yellow to deep gold, brilliant to very clear clarity, dense, long-lasting, creamy white head.
Tick.
Mine has been in the glass for a little while, but as soon as I give it a little bit of a swirl around, the head comes straight back. It does, well, as far as I'm concerned, that still represents good head retention, but appearance-wise, I mean, straight away, I'd be giving that 3 out of 3 for appearance. Aroma, medium to high, bready rich malt, medium to low, spicy floral, hop bouquet. Balance between the malt and hops may vary, so I think it's important to say that with these guidelines, quite often there is range given. So they do give you, a range of sort of variables there as far as whether the balance should lean one way or the other. Light diacetyl or very low fruity esters are optional, so you can have those in there up to a low level. And the esters will increase with gravity. Flavour-wise, rich, complex, bready maltiness combined with pronounced yet soft and rounded bitterness, floral and spicy hop flavour. Malt flavours, medium to medium high, can contain a slight impression of caramel. Bitterness prominent but never harsh. Long finish can be balanced towards hops or malt, but is never aggressive either way. So, I mean, I think we drank Budvar on the last podcast, and I think we got an example there of a very much
Decoction.
more malt forward, very decoction flavour, sort of heavy version of this type of beer. But anyone who's tried Urquell will see there's also quite a, as the guidelines say, there's quite a wide range there as far as where that balance can go. Mouthfeel, pretty straightforward, medium body, moderate to low carbonation. I'm surprised it says low carbonation is optional for a Pilsner, but there you go. And that's it. So, you're looking for 4.2 to 5.8%, up to 45 IBUs potentially, which backs up the fact that the bitterness can go quite high. So discuss
overall impressions.
Appearance. Oh yeah,
bang on. It's a 3 for 3.
Overall impression is just a sort of discussion of all of those things together, isn't it? So
okay, so basically
should be refreshing Czech lager with considerable malt and hop character and a long finish.
Okay, for me, the hops in this, I don't know which hop's been used. I've not seen the recipe, but the hop is a strange one. It's not the classic Saz, which I would expect. It's not. It doesn't taste like it, mate. Doesn't taste like it at all. There is a weird flavour on the back end of the hop flavour of this, and I think that's why it's been marked down. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I personally think you're muted, Owen. I personally think this is far too far on the hop side for me, for my palate. So therefore, I'm judging this on a ballet scale. I personally would have given it a slightly lower mark on the flavour, but I would have given it a higher mark on aroma, because I think the aroma's bang on. I think the smell's bang on. I can't find an issue with the nose. You've got that touch of sulphur. You've got that sweet note coming through. You've got that spice that kind of floats above everything else. I really like it. I really like this, but it does not taste like a Saz hopped beer to me.
That's weird. I think it does. There's maybe a bit of berry, like a Hersbrucker type, but I do get the Saz, that spiciness.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Saz would be.
That was my guess. That was immediately. I was like, yeah, that's Saz. But
yeah,
I am picking up a very tiny hint of nail polish.
Just a smidge of acetone in there, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. It's tiny, but it's there.
You have to really hunt for it, but...
just to warn everyone, I've not had a vape for 2.5 hours. So if I'm angry and shouty and growling at everyone, hi, welcome to me.
So you're just getting that on the flavour rather than the aroma, Owen, or...
No, I'm getting that on the aroma. I haven't even
the aroma as well.
Okay.
There is a smidge of it on there.
I'm jumping ahead.
More broadly speaking, I'd agree with Chris's observations. Like a lovely bready, honey-esque malt aroma.
Yeah, I think the malt aroma-wise is absolutely ticking the boxes.
Yeah.
Do you think it's Vermin Bohemian?
No,
I think so. Or either that or a little bit of melanoid and malt.
Or Munich.
I don't. Yeah, maybe some Munich. I don't know if he decoct matched the.
Say again.
Did
he dip his cock in it? I don't know either.
Yeah, I think Oh boy, sorry. Had
Yeah, I
a
don't-
pretty big one last night, so I'm not.
That's another
top
thing to
form.
avoid when you're judging beers. Try not to
Do it
Get-
whilst hungover.
have
yeah.
a massive hangover and get poo monkeyed like the night before.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to score? Are we going to shout out scores as we go, or are we going to sort of? give our
I think we
scores
should do
at the
our
end?
total scores at the end. I reckon is maybe a good
Okay.
way to do it.
Okay.
So we'll just everybody can message him to you, Tricky.
What? Why?
There you go. Well, because I can't be asked writing shit down, so I'm just going to message it to you.
Well, you can just call out your score, can't you? Like, I don't need to,
You want it at the end, don't you? I'm not going to remember this 5 beers.
No, I mean
in.
at the end of this beer, not at the end. Of
Oh,
the whole
okay.
podcast.
Are we
Yeah,
at the
not
end of
right
this
at the end
beer?
of the podcast.
Well, I think we can talk about what. Well, you've talked about mouthfeel. No, we've talked about flavour, mouthfeel. Any thoughts on that?
Bang on.
Yeah. It's
I've got no
nice
issues.
and
The only
creamy.
part of the beer that I have any issue with whatsoever is that hint of acetone, which it's only a hint.
I'm not getting it.
But also, I have an issue with the fact that it's a little bit too hop forward for the style for me, and that's it.
Is it? I thought Czech was more hop.
But I guess this is where one of the questions comes in, isn't it? It's like within the guidelines there is room for that, but you're saying for your personal preference. So, and so that's where I'm
Rounded
like, so how
bitterness.
if you're scoring it, should you be saying I would like it less bitter
Yeah.
if that's still allowed with it? Do you know what I mean? Like that's where I think that becomes really tricky, right?
Oh shit! Let's have a look at the comments of the second judge, Mr. Coombs, who said overall a little too much hop bitterness on the finish, and he scored it a 6. And yet the guy previous has scored it a 7, and he said good attempt at the style, ingredients are fresh, blah blah blah. Not mentioned anything about bitterness, and he's giving it a 7, and the other guy's giving it a 6, and the only comment that he's made is there's too much hop bitterness. So you tell me who scored it wrong, me or him?
Right, and I guess it's only like 1 point different, isn't it?
I've already said I agree with the scores that were given to it. I think 38 is bang on the nose.
Okay.
But
In
I
terms of,
would
like,
have I would have changed the way that the numbers work around a little bit for my preference, and that's the
Yeah.
only thing I can judge on it. Judge it on as a judge.
I think just as a format, I think we're going to try and get through, score it ourselves, judge it ourselves, then we'll have a look at the judging score sheet at the end
Yeah.
to sort of then go, did we pick up the same thing as what the judges did? Did they?
I've
pick
only
something
I've
up
only
we-
just opened it.
Yeah, I realised
I
that.
only opened it a couple of minutes ago. So
I'm just talking through in terms
It
of
changes.
format. Otherwise,
That's-
like, there's a risk that we might get led. by
Yeah.
talking
true.
about the feedback. So in terms of flavour, then, what are you guys picking up?
Like bready, sort of berry, bit of spice, and just
It's-
yeah.
Yeah, spicy SARS sort of honeyed bread for me is kind of
Yeah.
how
Which
I would
is-
describe it.
Yeah, it's like Bohemian. It's Bohemian to me, but then it's like a kind of slight Munich.
I mean,
flavour.
I know I've just been talking about the guidelines do give you room for it. I think, like I said, I think my palate is slightly compromised at the minute, and I feel like I'm tasting beers a little bit more bitter than they are anyway. But there is maybe just a hint more lingering bitterness in it than perhaps there could be, to the point where it's just a smidgen of sort of bitterness that becomes a little bit astringent for me at the end. But that's really picking hairs for me. I mean, I don't.
But I think
I
for
like
this,
it.
I think for this style though, it's Czech. So Czech, if you go, okay, Budvar was the opposite, but every other one,
Yeah.
they all like to put bitterness in their beers.
Yeah, no, I mean it's drinking very much to me how I sort of remember, like, Urkel from the supermarket out of the can. I think the exported version of that beer does tend to present a little bit more bitter than when you drink it actually in country, as it were. But
What'd you
certainly
call
for
me?
what who's
sorry,
that?
cool.
in country.
Oh, okay. I only heard the first bit. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm getting. I think I find it hard because it's kind of like you get to a point where it's like it is just down to personal preference, isn't it?
The more I drink it, the more I like it, and I think
Mm.
'cause you're adjusting to the bitterness.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard not to be being led by the last podcast we had.
Oh,
We were
yeah.
doing
That's
Bud
that's
Bar,
kind of where I'm
you
I'm
know,
coming
so
from as
kind
well.
of slightly influenced.
If
by
we'd been
it,
doing
as
that
you called
podcast
out,
with Kel instead,
And this,
I think you'd
yeah.
have a very different perspective.
and
perception,
don't
right?
forget,
that
this is a premium as well, so it's got the higher alcohol.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so whereas, yeah, I don't think Budvar's
no.
as high as that, is it?
I think it's got a lovely spicy bitterness to it. I
Yeah.
think there's a nice balance. I don't think it's too hoppy. I think there's a nice balance in there between the hop presence and the malt. I'd agree the mouthfeel's spot on. I think the carbonation's spot on.
Because I think if you lower the hop bitterness on this, then you're going to end up with more of that bready sort of honeyness on you, and you're going to be a bit cloying because of the higher alcohol as well. So I
Yeah.
think the bitterness helps to clear that a little bit, because even now you can still taste that honeyed sort of bready thing going on in your mouth. And that would
Bitterness.
become too clears
Yeah,
it.
the bitterness does coat your tongue, doesn't it? It sort of hangs around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like West Coast, like a good West Coast IPA level that sort of draws you back in.
Cool.
Nice.
So, should we score it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go first. I've just worked out that I would have put this at 39. I think it's I think there's comments there for bitterness, and it maybe just being a touch on the higher side, but I think it's within the style guidelines, and I really like it. So yeah, that was where my scoring came out for it.
I'd give it a 38, and I would tick the box that said I would drink one of those. I wouldn't drink two. No offense, Chris. It's just the bitterness is too high for me. And that weird flavour right at the end is just a bit too much.
Shall I go?
I need my
Oh, fucking hell.
calculator. Because
I'll go.
Brett's riding Ibbo's cock hard tonight.
I gave it a 37. Just I think the aroma at the start, I knocked it down a little bit because it wasn't. I was having to really kind of get my nose into it. But I think as it's warmed up,
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot more off it now. So yeah,
Mm.
you
think-
maybe knock it up a point or two, but yeah, But yeah, it's really nice.
That's where I landed as well, Andy. I landed on 37. I rated it an 8 out of 12 on aroma. Just because a little bit, I'm picking up that fault in there. But overall, the aroma's very good. Appearance is bang on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave it a 14 out of 20 for flavour. Just in that
That's
bitterness isn't quite as clean as I'd probably like.
I like that.
It was all SARS.
There you go.
Mouthfeel spot on. Overall, I scored it 7 out of 10. Overall impression, 37
That's what I
overall.
Yeah, I gave it 7 out of 10 as well.
Weirdly
Yeah,
enough, Ibbo's actually agreed with me. He said it is a little hop dominant, and he thinks the balance would have been better with slightly lower IBUs.
I mean, I think that
Yeah.
would probably be what could elevate it up to a 40 plus.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's what's going to give you
essentially,
41, 42, mate. Genuinely.
And to be fair, as the the
I
grade
thought-
boundary that he's in there, it's like requires minor tuning. That's basically it. Requires
I'd
some
like-
minor tuning
I'd like
So
to know
what
if
did
it was
you-
for
decocted.
competition purposes. If you enjoy that beer as it is, then fucking crack.
Well, let's ask him. He's in the chat. Ibbo, was it decocted or not? Or did
Any
you put
more colours?
melanoid in it?
I don't. I think it's like
Yeah, what was in the grist? So we are fortunate in the fact that we actually have not 2 feedback sheets for this beer, but we actually have 4 because Christian entered it into both the Scottish National and the UK National. So should we start on the UK National feedback and just have a quick look through, see what they picked up? So Roma, the first score sheet scored 8 out of 12. aroma lacking complexity. Called out there was a spicy hop contribution, bready malt contribution. Which is interesting. Scored a 3 on appearance. Scored 16 on flavour.
Wow, that's
Balance is leaning towards the hop side. Bit of an unusual hop taste. So, Chris, that you kind of called out that slightly odd hop flavour. So I think actually they were quite generous with that score.
Yeah.
Mouthfeel scored a 4, but gave no feedback as to why they scored it a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And a 7 overall. Good attempt at the style, ensures ingredients are fresh.
Are we reading the same score sheet? Oh no, I'm on the Scottish one. Sorry.
Muted.
Yeah, you went to UK.
Was there any flaws highlighted? I don't think so. No, they didn't tick anything on there. The next sheet, 9 out of 12 for aroma. Bready malty. With a bit of caramel notes. Balanced background hop. Scored 3 on appearance, 16 on flavour. They said clear, multi-grain with their handwriting's dreadful.
And here we see the challenge of deciphering BJCP judging sheets.
There should be a line at the top that says "write in black ballpoint pen in block capitals," shouldn't there?
Yeah. I mean, again, there's a lot of beers that these people have to get through, so it's kind of like
a lot of writing.
They may the handwriting may go downhill like midway through the competition. I don't know. But
can I just point out
there's a lot to write. I mean, to be fair, if they fill in all of the lines on the boxes, even if it is difficult to read, then that's, you know, you get varying levels of feedback from judges, shall we say? So
absolutely,
you know, I always appreciate when they actually go to the effort of filling in the boxes, you know, to a fairly
clear
level.
And so they both, the UK national both scored 38, and broadly speaking, it looks like they picked up on the same point we picked up on, which was just a little bit too much hot bitterness on the finish.
Yep. So I guess the difference between that and the Scottish scores is a good example of, you know, how age can affect the beer, because I think the bitterness was commented on even more so, as far as being a little bit out of balance, and the scores were a little bit lower for the Scottish one, so we had a 33 and a 36. So still good scores.
Interesting from the Scottish one on the 33 though, where they've picked up astringent bitterness at the end. Yep. And they've talked about a touch of diacetyl, which I don't get at all.
I mean, I don't think I'm particularly sensitive to diacetyl anyway, but I definitely didn't get any in this beer. But, you know,
no.
I mean, is that something that fades away with time? I'm not sure.
No,
that's
really.
Also
it's not
acceptable. That's also acceptable.
Oh well, yeah, exactly. So
absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So unless it is overwhelmingly buttery, they shouldn't really tick that as a
fault.
Yeah. So anyway,
I mean, it's scored well generally on aroma. I think it was mostly the flavour where it got scored down. And I think broadly the same issue, just around the bitterness.
Yeah, absolutely. So other than that, I don't see an issue with the beer. You know, I'd drink it. I'd drink that pint. No problems whatsoever. When I tasted it, it did not taste like Saz at all to me. It really didn't, and it was clearly that touch of acetone that was just kind of driving it away for me. But other than that, I thought it was decent beer. It just needs a little bit less bitterness.
Huh. And Adam Phillips has chimed in to say that he doesn't think CMO actually supplies SARS, and he's fairly certain it may be some other hop.
I don't think that's
controversial.
that would be some serious issues with false advertising, wouldn't it? That one.
Well, it would be, wouldn't it? But yeah, who knows? Who knows?
That'd be some serious business trading standards.
I think overall, so it broadly scored within that very good scoring like category. So it's a very good beer. Very nice, Christian. Thanks again. For,
Yeah, well done, Chris. That was an excellent
sharing it
example.
with us. Good beer, a good beer. We are being obviously really picky because kind of that's what judging's about, isn't it?
It definitely is.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
What are we jumping to next then?
Merton?
Getting on my Merton.
I need to
I'm
find
going to
it.
have
There
to
you
exit whilst I go and get
Ho
on.
ho 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 ho. Owen.
You have a little
Oh,
sniff. And,
And he's like, "You beauty." Right, Chris, I feel like
Oh.
you should... he's disappeared. Is Chris coming back?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like
It's-
you
it's
should...
talk-
You should...
You can't hear
You're
you. bud.
muted. You're muted.
I was
bud.
coughing my fucking ass
Oh,
up, sorry.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I've
yeah,
got that issue
one of those
tonight as
things.
well. But I feel like you should be the one that
Oh, okay.
runs us through the guidelines for this before we...
I should run
Start
through the
doing the
guidelines.
tasting.
It'd be nice if we knew that I was running through the guidelines before I actually got to the point
I
where
think you
was
might have
pouring the
missed
beer.
that bit where we said that at the beginning. That,
Yeah, it's almost
anyway.
like I wasn't here for that bit.
I'll
innit?
do it if you want. I'll do it.
No,
if you
just give me a
want. Can
sec.
you Get BJCP website up and just put in Merton. So just one thing for anyone who is thinking about doing this sort of judging type activity. Good idea to have a clean glass for each different beer, or at least
just one quick one.
Just
Hang
rinse
on,
it.
hang on.
rinse them out in between.
Are we going with 6A
a
or are
glass
we
of
going
water?
with 3B?
Sorry, which
Are we going with
which?
6A? 6A
Yeah, but
is
what-
Mertzen. 3B is Oktoberfest /Mertzen.
No, Mertzen, definitely Mertzen.
Mertzen. Yeah.
Thank God for that.
So good idea to have a glass of water just to rinse out your own palate, but also some plain crackers or snacks
Fuck
or something
that
like that. So
shit.
I've got some rice crackers and salted pretzels, which I think help to reset
Pickled
the palate
onion
a little
monster
bit.
munch.
Probably avoid that one. But no, seriously, like when like before you start judging beers as well, I think it's also a good idea to have a kind of a baseline beer or something, like have a beer that you know what it tastes like, or one of your own beers that you know what it tastes like, and just drink that at the start, so you've got kind of like a baseline to work from. Because sometimes when you just have that first beer, especially, sometimes you can just be a bit like, whoa, like that's, you know, your palate's not quite ready.
Or like Brett
And,
does,
you know,
have some chili pickled egg.
Well, that is an option. If you're judging a particular category, like for a competition or something, I imagine it's probably a good idea to have a one of those like benchmark beers that they suggest in the guidelines as a quick warm up beer.
Would that be
get you
Pliny
going.
the
So,
Elder?
not for Merton, no. But
That's good. Okay. Right then, so 6A Mertzen, an elegant malty German amber lager with a clean, rich, toasty and bread malt flavour, restrained bitterness, a dry finish that encourages another drink. Well, that's bullshit because they're not supposed to be fucking dry. The overall malt impression is soft, elegant and complex. Appearance, deep amber to deep reddish copper, should not be golden because then it'd be an Oktoberfest. Bright clarity with a persistent off-white foam stand. Aroma, moderate intensity of German malt, rich, bready, toasty, light bread crust, clean lager fermentation, almost zero to no hop aroma, caramel, dry biscuit, roasted malt, inappropriate. Very light alcohol may be detected, but should never be sharp. Flavor is sweetness, but a finish is moderately dry to dry. No, it's fucking not. Shut up. Distinctive and complex maltiness often includes a bready, toasty aspect. The BJCP are wrong. Hop bitterness is moderate. Hop flavor is low to none. Use German types, complex, floral, herbal, or spicy. Hops provide sufficient balance that the malt is balanced and finish does not seem sweet. Medium body, smooth, creamy texture, suggests a fuller mouthfeel, blah, blah, fucking blah. No sweetness or overcloyingness. Maybe slightly warming, but the strength should be relatively hidden by the hops. So in other words, guess what? It's a fucking balanced German beer is what they're saying. Now, do I need to dip out since this is basically my recipe?
How good is this?
Yeah, I mean it is your recipe, but I'd say I've made enough changes to make it materially different.
Because it doesn't taste like my recipe.
No, I mean
It doesn't.
significantly reduced the amount of Vienna and replaced it in with floor malted pilsner.
Yep.
Um,
There's there's less of that. It's not as caramelly and like biscuity bready sort of thing that can
It's
sometimes
sweet.
come across.
I'm getting a touch of sweetness on the nose, which is not unpleasant. I do like. I'm going to need this recipe, by the way, Owen.
Yeah, it's super clean. It's amazing.
Happy to share.
The
I
one
used,
thing that
Oh,
go on. No, it's fine. Go
I
on.
was going to say I used. I didn't actually use a Metzen yeast. I used diamond lager yeast.
Really? Okay.
That's where the big
Yeah.
difference is for me.
Mm.
Is it? But do you think it's not as sweet, Chris?
I don't know if it's the hops and the malt, like the balance, that's slightly different to the way that I do it, or whether it is the fact that it finished slightly drier than mine normally would, and therefore I'm just kind of not really tasting the sweetness. I can smell the sweetness, but I'm not tasting the sweetness as much as I normally would.
This seems like a slightly toned down version of yours, Chris, where all the malts are punching through. Owen seems like this super drinkable, like almost commercial sort of
Yeah.
Marzen,
Yeah,
that-
definitely.
Yeah.
It's- My logic there was I probably wanted to ensure that it
that's so
kind
good.
of it conditioned
so good.
conditioned quicker.
I was like, I'm not going to drink all of the beers. They're all disappearing so far.
This one's going
I
to
also-
disappear, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I also added melanoid and malt as well,
You can taste that.
which I don't think is in your recipe.
No, it's
Chris,
definitely.
so it's-
I love the
it's-
colour of this beer,
It's
mate.
I mean, yeah, aroma-wise, super clean, distinct.
The
Brown
colour
breads,
of this beer is legit.
honey.
I really
slight
like
hint
the
of hops.
name.
It's banging.
Professor Chem's Magical Marzen. I do like
Honestly,
that.
yeah.
No,
I
what's
don't know, like how, like, why would I? That's the thing for me. Sometimes, like, why would you score it down? Like, what are you saying that's wrong with it? I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, this one's
Do you know what I
got-
mean?
This would score highly, I think. And when you look at the scores, yeah, it's gone.
I'm not looking at the scores yet. You see, you got to try and keep that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull as
Objectivity.
many off flavors on my tongue as I can. There's no astringent bitterness on this at all. This is, I can barely
Well,
register
I don't
any
think that. I
bitterness.
don't think there's any off flavour.
There's no astringency whatsoever. There's no
all,
diacetyl,
no.
no DMS. There's no grassy flavor. It certainly doesn't taste metallic, musty, or anything like that.
Did you not get metallic on the aroma at the start when
No.
it was ice cold?
No.
I got it at first, but it's gone. Not now.
Yeah, mine's still a bit too cold.
It's
Uh,
very
yeah.
clean.
Yeah,
Just
It's-
overall,
yeah.
it's clean. It's clean
Yeah.
on hops. It's clean on malt. It's just
Mhm.
clean. It's an incredibly well made beer. This I have to say, and I'm not just fucking licking your ass for the fun of it, Owen. That is a really good
What?
beer.
Yeah, out of interest, what was your sort of like lager schedule for fermentation and conditioning with this, Owen?
Good question.
Fermented at 36.
Because
with
I've used
hops, mate.
diamond lager yeast myself, and it's very good, but I don't remember it producing quite such
What
a
did I do?
uber clean beer as this.
It would
You not get
help-
proof Anna?
it would
If
help
I remember
with,
rightly, Owen, when me and you had a conversation, didn't you co-pitch yeast on this one?
Yes, I used 2 packs
It
of
was
diamond
2
lager
diamonds
yeast
and
and
one
then
hell.
one pack of CML.
He's got some tricks up his sleeve, I see.
Yeah, well, that was more out of just necessity than anything.
You wanted a
I
good
mashed
healthy
it.
pitch.
Just wanted
I
to
mashed
make
it
sure,
at
yeah.
68.
Was that for a 23 litre batch or?
Yeah, that was
20?
23
Yeah.
litre batch. Yeah, so I was making sure that I just pitched enough yeast to ensure, really healthy fermentation. So
I'm
3
getting
packs
notes
yeast.
of cherry.
Interesting.
Take a little bit into your mouth, suck the air in through the beer, and tell me you don't get cherry.
Nah. Good point from Chris on the chat. He let his warm slightly as the fridge was 2 degrees. I wonder how BJCP managed temp when tasting.
I think it's a lot
to
warmer.
I think generally they're probably drinking almost all the beers a lot more. So they're going to come out of a cold store, which in most breweries is probably going to be I don't know,
6
4
degrees
to 8 degrees ish. And then it's probably going to be out on tables waiting to go for, at best, probably half an hour to an hour, probably for most of the beers longer. So
I think this is why the glass bottles do better, Tricky, because it keeps it cooler.
Might be a contributing factor for sure.
Well,
Andy, please, for fuck's sake, say the scientific term for it.
What, the heat transfer?
No,
The
thermal
coefficient?
mass.
We've talked about this before, but I think there's a psychological element as well. Like judging a beer and you see it coming up in a nicely presented glass bottle, properly capped, versus a plastic bottle.
I'm getting cherry flavour.
Especially if it's in the proper German lager bottle, yeah. Sure. You just go like, oh, that's legit, you know.
I think
so he's just taking, you know what he's done? He's went and bought commercial Martzen, and then he's.
Do you know what? That would be a really interesting
taking the label
experiment,
off.
just to put an identical beer, literally bottle it like minutes before it gets judged into plastic and glass, and just put it into a BJCP
just
judge
with a generic
and go,
gold
there you go.
cap. Yeah.
To judge these 2 beers, see what happens.
Naughty. That would be naughty. I think it's also just coming back to that kind of temperature of the beer. Perhaps quite significant would be in what order your beer is in to be tasted. So if it's in the first 25%, the beer's going to be a lot colder than obviously the last 25%. But I don't exactly know how they do that. But I mashed it at 68. In terms of the fermentation, I think I fermented it at 10 degrees for about 2 weeks. And then I bumped it up to about 13. And then I think I went to about 16.
Okay.
And then cold crashed it down and then kegged it, and it's been in the keg for probably a couple of months.
That's an absolute banger. I don't fucking care what anyone says. That's a banger.
So good. Yeah, I agree. I'm not surprised at the scores you got as well. Although
I'm surprised.
That's not it. It's not 38, was it?
I got some interesting feedback.
44 and 39.
Yeah.
You may have unblinded yourself there, Luke.
Amazing.
Right, I'm going to run through my scores for this one. So I've got a judging sheet in front of me, a blank one. I'm going with aroma. I'm going to go with 11 out of 12 because genuinely I think there's a little bit too much fruit on the top of that. I'm genuinely getting cherry, like lots and lots and lots of cherry, which is very weird, right? But it's not unpleasant.
You haven't got any cherry vape juice spilt on the floor.
I haven't fucking vaped for 3 hours, you fucking bearded prick.
That doesn't mean it can't be spilt on the floor. There's no need to be abusive, Christopher.
Go and fuck yourself. Right. Love you, man. I'm going to take it out on someone. So I'm going to go 11 out of 12 for aroma. For appearance, 3 out of 3. It's banging, it's clear, it's gorgeous, and it's a wonderful deep red. I love that. Flavor-wise, I'm going to go 17 out of 20 because I honestly believe that cherry flavor, now that I've tasted it, it's overwhelming, right? But I'm not going to say it's unpleasant, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have a vape in a minute, Luke, okay? These are the 2 most important beers for me. I don't give a shit about Trickies. These are the 2 most important beers for me, so I'm going to have a vape after this. I have actually got some vape liquid that I've made up with no flavors in. So it's going to taste shit, but I'm going to do it anyway. Mouthfeels, 5 out of 5. Overall impression, even though I've scored it down a little bit on flavour, I'm actually going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I think as far as it goes for the style, I think this is absolutely fucking beautiful. I genuinely do think this is an absolute bang-on example of what you can do when you know how to brew and you want to aim for a style specifically, this for me is a fucking cracking beer. I can't find a single flaw with this beer aside from that cherry flavor, which I don't dislike, so I'm not calling it a flaw. It's fucking stunning.
I think if I was to sort of make an observation about it, I think possibly gets the guidelines. It's probably a little bit too hoppy.
Hoppy?
No,
I don't think that
so
cherry. No, it's really not.
This is a malt. This is a malt
Yes.
forward lager.
So what was your total score, Chris? Sorry, I missed it. I was busy
46.
chatting abuse in the. Wow. Yeah, so you're right into world class example
World
of style
class
there.
Mate, it's
example.
banging.
Thanks, Chris.
Banging.
It's
I mean,
commercial.
I had it at 43. And the only, like I said, I wasn't down scoring it on anything particularly. Mouthfeel, not quite 5 out of 5. Could have maybe been just a little bit fuller, maybe.
Fuller. Yeah.
The cleanness of
nails, yeah.
it was like, the only thing there that almost counteracted it being quite full enough flavor wise. Overall, it was a 9 out of 10. Flavor 17, aroma 10 out of 12. It's it should definitely be 40 plus for me. Like, I don't see anything in there that's like a flaw in any way, and it seems to match all of the style guidelines. So, you can argue over whether it's 40 to 40, whatever Chris has scored it at, but it's for me, it's got to be 40 plus. I don't
Got to be
see
a
any reason
46.
to score
It's
it
a
below
46.
I actually I agree with that assessment wholeheartedly with Tricky. I think the recipe was actually shooting for 5.6%, and due to my lack of brewing skills, came in at 5%.
Okay.
Partly as the yeast did not ferment down as low as what it suggested it would in terms of attenuation or target
What was it
attenuation.
supposed to
actually
hit?
finished at 10.16.
Wow.
So I was quite worried about that. I was like, I've got a feeling that's going to be, it's not going to
No.
be dry enough.
No, it's perfect.
Oh.
So it was a combination of me slightly missing a few points on target OG.
Is that higher mash temp?
Actually, only missed it by 1 point, but it finished like 4 points higher than I was expecting it to finish.
And do you think it was your higher mash temp with all those different kind of
I think it was
darker malts?
I think it
left
was.
that 10, 16.
But the reason I mashed it at 68 is because the attenuation for diamond lager yeast is supposed to be 80%. So
Yeah.
I was compensating for what Brewfather calculated the final gravity to be.
Then Hell's
So I
is
think
what,
if I was to
78?
rebrew it, I'd mash it at 66.
I fucking love that beer.
I don't know if I'd change it on. I think you stumbled across something here.
No, I wouldn't change it.
Oh,
I wouldn't change that at all, mate. I would not change that in any way, shape, or form. I need the recipe for it. I need it right now.
All right, well, I'll post it in the chat for everyone. So do we want to have a look at the score sheet?
I'm going to say, Ibo, take some into your mouth. Don't swallow it. Suck air through your mouth, through the beer, then
Just don't do
swallow
it in
it,
the microphone.
and you'll get cherry.
Just make sure if you're doing it, guys, just mute because that noise is absolutely horrendous.
What news is that? What?
No, just when you start going
Oh,
on the microphone. it's
Also, when you're
horrendous.
munching on the crackers like I just was.
Anyone, sorry, apologies to anyone listening with their headphones on in a train or something like that. Then yeah, I've told
That
them.
is superb. That is fucking superb. I don't give a shit what anyone says. That's a banger.
Well, that whole bottle just got
You
Smashed.
destroyed it.
smashed. That is gone.
Yep.
very good. So the feedback sheet.
yeah, the
They made an
feedback sheets, I
observation
forgot
that
we were
I had a
supposed to look
very
at that.
high fill level on the bottle.
Whoops.
That's
case
very
that-
important.
In case that matters.
Yeah,
Raymond
'cause
scored
from that bottle
9 out of
condition.
12. Bready and toasty moderate level. Good for style. Band-Aid? Banana aroma?
No. fucking no.
Through floral at low level is okay.
We're not allowed to name the judges if it's in a negative sense. Okay.
I just don't think we need to talk about the judges at all, really. But
yeah, that's
we're not going to.
That's not what we want to do. But I think it is important to say, like, why is a beer having 4 off flavors ticked, but still scored 39? That's doesn't quite add up, right? So that's where you kind of go, well, there's something a little bit off with that score sheet.
Why is it saying it's sour?
That was
especially when the other judge is scoring it 44 and not ticking anything. So, you know, we have talked about the difference in level of experience with certain,
I was literally just about to say that.
That's that is an effect of there not being enough judges around to do the competitions that Chris has already talked about. So yeah, we're not going to make it sort of against any particular judge or anything, but there is the potential for there to be differential in scoring when certain people are looking for off flavors desperately. Go on, Chris.
Yes. All I want to say is, if you had a Ford Focus RS and you had 2 people driving it around the same racetrack, one of them was fucking Lewis Hamilton and the other one was Dave, the local pisshead from your fucking local pub, who are you going to believe when one of them says this car's shit and the other one says this car's good? Which one are you going to believe? You're going to believe fucking Lewis Hamilton because the dude's got 8 world titles, let's face it. He's got 8 world titles.
Dave's no right driving supercars, so Dave's
a wanker. So we're not going to trust Dave. But all I'm going to say is this highlights exactly what Tricky just said. This highlights the issue where there are not enough trained BJCP judges. If you're a member of a fucking homebrew club, tell whoever it is who runs it that you want BJCP training, okay? And you need to get somebody in to get that done. All of you get fucking, and then you'll make money because it's bank money. Yeah, you get like free beer, food, travel, and everything when you judge a BJCP competition. So make it happen.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, not sure about that.
I'm not being funny. They're not doing it for now.
That may be the part of the problem.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I think generally competitions try and cover expenses, but it's still giving away, in most cases, a full day, usually on a weekend, potentially more than one day as well. So it's again, shout out to all the judges.
Oh yeah, big shout out to all the judges.
Absolutely.
And I know we're not going to name specific judges, but the judge that gave you a 44 on that beer is somebody that does a lot of work, sort of has done seminars at BrewCon and stuff for sort of judge training and stuff like that. And
more importantly, he's a fully BJP certified,
fully certified judge. So yeah,
the one that gave you the lower score isn't certified.
No, they were not certified. So they did pick up a lot of off flavors
that
the other certified judge didn't pick up at all. They did interestingly note in the flavour a slight sourness and astringency. Now this is interesting because I've also picked up sometimes a perceived sourness in this beer, which I'm not getting tonight, but I have had when I've drunk the beer. So I don't know what that's about.
No idea, because didn't get any of that.
No.
So,
no.
I think that is a class example of what a medicine can be. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
I concur.
And then they close out with, I love this beer.
Yeah, you love it so much.
Yeah, scored 39, so not too bad.
I mean, 39 is still a great score, but it's just like, why are you ticking all those boxes?
And then giving it 39.
Relevant. Yeah.
Agreed. The other sheet, I think, called out overall impression, a nice attempt at this style with a few possible adjustments, a little attenuation, a little attention on yeast and fermentation to remove the hint of esters. Also, maybe pull back the hop flavour a touch. Yeah. So I'd probably agree with that. I mean, I wasn't really picking up any esters, but
I thought it's super clean and the hops were totally minimal. So, but That's the subjective element, right? So
It's this beer. It's maybe had more time for those things to mellow out, or
also a good point. Let's also
stuff.
point that out that we're at least a month and a bit, further into conditioning.
I love it.
Time, so
love it.
Right.
What's next?
Oh, I think we've got NEIPA next.
No, New Zealand Pills. Tricky's New Zealand
Pills.
Pills. Just give me a minute while I find it.
Owen, do you want to run the BJCP?
Yeah, I would be
guidelines on that one.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what the number is?
It's a weird one because it's like right at the end in the
Let me just
strange
search.
beer sort of categories. I think.
New Zealand.
Yeah, you'd probably be better off just googling it because it's not.
New
easy
Zealand
to find.
styles 85. X5 New Zealand.
X5, that's
filter?
it. Yep, that's it.
Is it X5?
Yeah.
All right. Annoyingly, I've just lost it. So it's page 85. If anyone's following along on the 2021 BJCP guidelines.
Tricky, is this Donny was a good bowler?
No. Zesty
Oh, fuck's sake.
You got the wrong one out. So, yeah. New Zealand Pilsner is X5. Suggested style placement is category 12, pale Commonwealth beers. The overall impression is a pale, dry, golden coloured, cleanly fermented beer showcasing the characteristic tropical, citrusy, fruity and grassy New Zealand type hops. Medium body, soft mouthfeel and a smooth palate and finish with a neutral, bready malt base provide the support for this very drinkable, refreshing, hop-forward beer. In terms of kind of vital stats, you're probably looking at an OG of 1044 to 1056, finishing out pretty dry between 10.009 and 1014. 10.09, and then the ABV is somewhere between 4.5 to 5.8%, with IBUs at 25 to 45. So it could get quite bitter. But I think the predominant focus here is going to be about showcasing New Zealand hops, essentially. So aroma is medium to high hop aroma reflective of modern New World hop varieties. We'd expect tropical fruits, citrus, lime, white grapefruit, gooseberry, honeydew melon with a light green bell pepper or grassy aspect. Medium low to medium malt in support. That's probably about enough on the guidelines. Anyway, I'm going to crack the beer open. So for those that have got it open, what are we thinking?
I'm getting a nose full of hop aroma. Indistinct hop aroma at the moment.
Tricky, how would you rate the Malt Miller's caps? Are they good?
The Malt Miller's what? Sorry.
Bottle caps.
They're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, they work.
they do the job.
Odd question.
I believe they've got the oxygen scavenging little bit on the inside of them or whatever. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a little bit of context for this beer while you're.
I could smell that just from
while you're tasting it. So, not wanting to.
It smells amazing.
Guide your thinking on it or anything, but the so the hops in this are actually a blend. So it's basically the New Zealand Pils recipe that I've used before in competitions that has in the past has done reasonably well. But I've actually fucking lost the recipe for it now. Where's it gone?
Oops. Just scan the QR code.
Mate, that aroma's gorgeous.
Good point.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's lime and gooseberry, sort of.
Lime, gooseberry, passion fruit.
So yeah, this is actually previously I've obviously mainly focused on just using Nelson and then adding an extra hop in as a balance to that. Sometimes it's been another New Zealand hops. Sometimes it's been
Yeah, you got
a noble hop. This one is all Revolution blend, which is a all New Zealand hop blend from Revolution Hops, funnily enough. So that's like the New Zealand company that Malt Miller are supplying their New Zealand hops from currently.
There's got to be
So
Nelson.
it's mainly Nelson.
Yeah.
There is some of the my other not so favourite New Zealand hop, Pacific Sunrise, in there. I think there's some. What else is in there? There might be some Rawaka, maybe. Definitely Motueka. Yeah, there's Motueka in there as well. I think that's about it.
That's a pure limey thing.
It's basically just it's the blend of those hops. So
I love the aroma on that beer.
This the flavour. Oh, have you tried it yet?
No, I haven't even tasted it yet. I'm still just like slurping it in with my nose. I'm trying to figure out what that sort of smells like.
I've got sweet peach. I've got quite a lot of like that melange of tropicality, that kind of pineapple-y, guava-y, sort of passion fruity quite type of flavor, and it's just rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. But I also pick up a touch of the hops, not much, the malt, just a touch, but not a lot. I'm getting fucking zero off flavors. I really am. I'm getting absolutely no off flavors at all. I see no issues with this beer at all.
Is that Dingerman's Pilsner?
Bear with me. It is. Yeah! Well, actually, it's a little bit of that, and your not so favourite crisp German Pilsner. So yeah, that's a little bit of that, and then just some dextrin and a dash of Munich as well.
I'm getting no woody flavour. I'm getting no fucking grassiness at all.
No. I'm getting 2124, which is their version of the Weihenstephaner. Or 3470 essentially.
I'm getting absolutely zero pine. I don't. There's not. I think
you're looking at the judging sheets, aren't you?
I've looked at the judging sheet before, and I'm getting. All I'm getting is tropical fruit. I'm getting peach more than I'm getting anything else.
Yeah.
Just so much peach.
Yeah. No. There's flavor, definitely a big stone fruit thing there.
Massive.
With the Nelson grapey. Gooseberry thing, isn't
it? I'm getting zero off. Do you know something tricky? I can tell you right now, before I even do the scoring, that this beer for a New Zealand Pilsner should be in the high 30s. I don't even need to look at anything else to tell you this is in the high 30s for me. This is fucking beautiful, mate. I don't know what's going off. I've looked at the sheet before. I do not have the sheet open right now. Okay.
We'll talk about that in a bit because there's other things to consider.
It's fucking stunning.
How could you improve? How would you improve on that?
I think it needs a little bit more malt character, just a touch more to balance out that hoppy flavour. Just a little bit more, not much, 3-4%, just enough to bring that in a little bit.
Of what? Or just more strong, like a stronger ABV?
No, just a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more of that like bready character that, you know.
Because at the minute it's like this crisp. It's like a crispy boy. Like it's just so thirst quenching. You could be sitting at the beach. You know what I mean?
This is a fucking Mai Tai beer. This.
It's what do you call it? It's like a Corona with lime, but just fucking amazing.
It's like a Corona with a fucking tropical fruit display dumped into the glass. It's beautiful. I can't see an issue. It's a touch hazy.
I mean,
you know,
by the style guidelines, it should be crystal clear, and I didn't get that quite. So that is.
It is a touch hazy.
You can knock a point off.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You can knock a point off for that.
Exactly what I did.
But do you not find the drinkability of it is it just pulls you? You just want to drink more of it because it's like your mouth salivating.
What does it look like I'm doing?
It's like
I'm drinking all of this one.
This is This is why I brew New Zealand Pilsners like pretty much back to back. It's just I think it is my favourite beer style. I think it's like it's got the hops, it's got the crispy boy thing, like say Andy, and drinkability, and like I'll drink it all year round. I don't give a fuck if it's freezing cold, pissing down with rain.
No.
I'll still enjoy a New Zealand Pilsner. So
it's almost like they came up with cold IPA before they came up with cold IPA.
It's funny you should say that. Yeah, I think they were ahead of the
cold
fucking game there.
It's a style that's already been created. It's called New Zealand Pilsner. I love it, Tricky. I think it's absolutely super. I'm not finding really any faults in that. I think just one kind of observation is maybe that the aroma is so good, but I don't think it quite carries in the same way into the flavour.
Really?
It's still, it's still a flavourful beer, don't get me wrong, but that's not really, that's more a reflection of how good the aroma is.
I don't know, in the middle of my tongue, it's just...
that the flavour's not there. It's just like, if you got the flavour to the same level as the aroma, it would just be like an absolute...
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I don't agree with that. Because what I want from a super hop forward beer is I want that massive nose hit. And the flavour, I want it to carry some flavour, but I don't, because I want to be able to drink more than one.
Oh my God.
And I think if you've got that super flavour hit as well as that super aroma hit, I think what you're going to end up with is a beer which kind of saturates your flavour senses.
It might be
after
more
maybe
of a
one
pale ale or an IPA then as well, rather than the lager, I guess. But
maybe too much. Yeah,
I'm not gonna say that you're wrong, Owen. But what I'm gonna say is, I'm personally very happy with where this beer sits, as far as how it.
Dry.
Yeah, the dryness of it is the thing that's bringing me in.
Back. Yeah, I want to drink lots of this. If I was in a pub
recipe for this,
if I was in a pub, I'd crush 3 or 4 pints of that.
Yeah.
I've mentioned to Stiffo about getting this hop blend in as well at the Malt Miller because, like I said, I've done a lot of variations on this beer. And this one, it's like they've just given me the mix that pretty much satisfies exactly where I want it to be, right? Rather than having to play around. Because I've done Nelson, and to be fair, the best one I think prior to this was Nelson, and I'd like to brew them side by side to test this, but Nelson and Wakatu was my first and favourite blend of hops.
Wakatu's legit.
Wakatu because it still has a little bit of that noble character in the background.
Spicy.
And then I've tried mixing it with, I've tried SARS, I've tried Sapphire. I think I might have done it with Hersbrucker at one point as well. And then I did this blend.
Have you tried Pearl?
Yeah. No, I've not tried Pearl, but
Pearl's good as a base.
So I think there's obviously there's lots of things to be tested, but if I can just get a hop blend that I can just go right, I'm just put that in a certain quantity and it will deliver that. I'm like,
right, I'm scoring
that's
this.
Fucking, I'm happy with that.
So, I would. I'd like to get my hands on that blend.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I mentioned it to Stiffer. I don't think they've got it on the Malt Miller currently, but get on to Revolution Hops, guys, because I know that you are have a working relationship with them, and get this Revolution blend on your site as soon as possible, because I will buy it. Actually shout out. Sorry, I should say this. Shout out to Danny from Small Batch Brewing Co. because he sent me these hops to try out, and I think he got them via Brewers Select. So they're available like commercial quantities, but you can't buy them, as far as I know, at any of the homebrew suppliers currently.
How much Citra you got, Tricky?
I've got about 1.5 kilos of that left currently.
And how much did you buy?
5 kilos originally.
Yeah, so shut the fuck up and get it bought, all right?
What?
Wait.
That's your brewer's quantity.
Buy
get
the
it
5
done.
kilos. Yeah,
get it done.
I've tried setting up that Brewers Select account, but they don't seem keen on. I don't know. They're
Tricky, what the fuck's going on with you? I'm reading the judge's notes. Did you send a different beer?
Not as far as I know. So this is where the something obviously went wrong here. Now I just want to preface this before anyone dives in and sort of starts saying anything. I know one of the judges personally who actually judged this beer, and he's an extremely experienced not just judge but also a brewer. And you know, and I was upset. I'm not going to lie. I was upset when I got the feedback from this because I was genuinely thinking this beer is like
this is winning
for sure. Going to place like I was like that confident in it. Tried and tested recipe, and it tasted like the best version of it I've done so far. So I was like, this has got a good chance of placing, if not, you know, just scoring really well. And then I also get the feedback, and I'm like, what the fuck? But honestly, like I said, I trust, because I know one of the people who judges, I trust there must have been something wrong, but what I can't figure out is what's gone wrong, because I've bottled that beer in like fresh bottles. I kept a bottle back, which I tried pretty much as soon as I got the result, and it was fine. It was fine. It was a little bit like, you know, I tried it versus literally off the tap, and I was like, it's a little bit faded, but other than that, it tastes almost exactly the same. So it was like, I that's the thing. I'm just like, I was a little bit lost there as far as like what could have caused. So, I mean, the main thing they were talking about for both the judges was this like weird burnt, like aftertaste, right? And I was like, what? I just didn't understand where that could have come from, unless I've accidentally picked up like an old bottle that's tainted in some way, and that happens to be the one that they've judged. Because that's the other weird thing. I had one bottle that was bottled at the same time. So, you know, it might just be one of those things. I may have just been unlucky.
Could have been a mixed up bottle.
That's what I'm thinking. This doesn't sound like your beer.
Maybe you confused it with something you got from Brett. Just saying.
The fact that the aroma
Savage
lacks New Zealand hop character.
Fucking hell.
That could be.
I mean,
it couldn't be any further from the truth.
The comments between the two judges were a bit like inconsistent as well.
One says hop citrus from New World hops than malt, out of balance.
One says it lacks New Zealand hop character. Fucked, mate.
Spicy hop notes. Bus needs to be.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling to understand how they've come out with that comment. Short of, I'm not getting any burnt flavors at all. They even said not sure where the burnt notes are from.
That's two different competitions as well, no?
No, that's weird. No. That is weird.
Not that exact beer, but like I said, it's like the base recipe I've used multiple times.
Yeah, you've done okay with it.
It's placed like pretty consistently.
Sometimes you know, you enter a competition and you get this kind of feedback, and you wonder, did they actually score the right beer? Were they drinking another beer?
Yeah,
I thought I was muted then.
I think I think that's a different beer. I think they've mixed them up, but then that's two. What the fuck?
Got blamed.
There's something wrong with you.
What was that?
I don't know, man.
I mean, they're both drinking from the same bottle when they judge it, so it's not like
okay, tricky.
Beers, but anyway,
I appreciate that the judging was a bit weird and that it's a mystery where that came from. But can I give you mine?
Yeah, I can give you mine as well.
Okay, aroma, I've gone 10 out of 12 because honestly, I believe that it was absolutely banging, but I believe that the malt was slightly lacking. Not criticism, just an observation. Appearance, I gave it a 2 out of 3 because it is quite hazy.
Yeah.
Now, Ibo's already mentioned that may well be chill haze. Because as mine's warming up, it is actually getting a tiny little bit clearer. Not completely like crystal clear, but it is getting a bit clearer.
Yeah, isn't it?
Flavor, 17. Okay? I don't give a shit what anyone says. That's a 17. There's no burnt character. There's no nothing. All I'm getting is I'm getting a shitload of wonderful hops. But again, I genuinely think that the malt could maybe just do it a bit of a tweak. Maybe a smidge of Vienna, maybe a touch of Munich, whatever it is. It just needs a bit of a bump. But 17 out of 20, I'm happy to give it that. And I was deliberating whether or not to give it 18. Mouthfeel, I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4 because I genuinely believe it could do with a touch more carbonation. I don't think the carbonation is quite where I would expect for a Pilsner. Overall, I gave it an 8. The aroma is absolutely banging, but the 2 points that I knocked off, one was for carbonation and one was for just malt flavor not quite being there. So overall, I gave it a 41.
Exactly where I ended up.
I think that is an absolutely brilliant example. Yeah,
I gave it a 5 for mouthfeel and 16 for flavour.
Yeah,
that was the only difference with my score versus Chris's.
I think that's a fucking beautiful beer, Tricky. And I think honestly, I think
I appreciate that.
I think you've been fucked over, mate.
I think you have been duly robbed.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, I thought it was. I was confident in it, and there must have been something. It's on its way, Luke. Don't worry. There must have been something wrong with it because I know who judged it, and I know that he knows his shit. So, yeah, it is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. It is, right. So sometimes it does knock your confidence a little bit when a beer like that goes in and it comes out with a score that's like nowhere near what you're expecting. So that's.
I don't think Brett's saying he'd give you.
It's nice to get some reassurance because I'd already had some feedback from other people, like Brett and other people are on the chat currently who said it was great, and it was just like, oh, have I genuinely just completely misjudged this beer, or is it just a fuck up? And I think it's just got to be one of those random like bottles that has just gone wrong somehow. I don't know why.
I genuinely think they've mixed that up.
I genuinely think they've mixed that up.
If you're gonna do something different, Tricky, next time, what might you do?
I mean, I think, yeah. I reckon there could be I think there's a fair point from Chris. There could be a little bit more malt character in it, so maybe just up the Munich a touch, maybe just to give it a little bit more oomph there. I know Chris likes a bit of Vienna in his lager, so he'd probably put a bit of Vienna in it. So
I was thinking
a little bit of Vienna as well as the Munich, maybe. I think you probably do need a little bit more malt character in there when you've got such, New Zealand hops are so dominant that you probably need to do a little bit more character sort of malt. I don't know.
I wonder what it'd be like with flaked rice, and you just went total.
It'd be too dry.
Super dry it out.
And no, it would start tasting a little bit wine-like with the.
Yeah, it would. That'd be too.
That, maybe.
I genuinely think, Tricky, that there has been a travesty of judging.
Yeah.
And I believe that beer deserves so much more than it's got. And I think you need to.
That's why I was kind of like. I want you guys to look at this one and literally just reassure me that I wasn't.
That's why I didn't vape.
Mind. Do you know?
I didn't vape. Did you notice
Honestly.
That also, was banging.
I'm going to say, because Brett said he'd give you one, but that don't mean much, because that boy'd fuck a loop not in the fence if given half a chance. So that don't mean much. And Luke, I'm not going to say it because I genuinely believe that this is a travesty of judging. I do. I believe somebody somewhere has made a fuck up here.
Or it's been put on top of a heater. Someone's put it on top of a heater and just blowtorched the fucker or something. And that's why
somebody set fire to it. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
Was it? Did they flambe the beer before they tried it, Tricky? Is that what it was?
It's a Bedford postal office. It's an absolute travesty.
Yeah.
I mean, all I could suggest is maybe bottle, like,
ice packs.
Put some in a bottle and then leave that bottle somewhere warm for 5 days, and then taste it and see if you get anything.
I mean, the thing for me was it was just like, out of all the off flavors, burnt was the one that threw me the most. It was like, how could that even happen in the bottle? Like, what can you do to a bottled beer, even in transit? Like, imagine all the worst possible scenarios. Like, even if the bottle's got some like, some bugs left in it from it's not been cleaned properly or whatever, and it re-ferments, or whatever scenario you can think of, it was left on a heater. Okay, so it might oxidize, it might go, stale, it might whatever, but how do you get burnt flavor into a beer that's not been burnt? Do you know what I mean? Before it gets bottled. That was the thing that's really puzzled me. Since I don't.
Well, let's talk about the things that could create a burnt off flavor.
Yeah.
So I think,
that's the thing, isn't it? Like, the obvious one is obviously if you scorch a beer in the kettle, then that's clearly not happened. So
yeah.
But beyond
Definitely
that,
not.
where can it come from?
Yeast hydrolysis can give you a bit of a burnt rubber flavour, can't it?
It can give you a burnt rubber flavour. It won't actually give you the flavour of combustion.
There's anything else that could give you a burnt flavour?
If it had been in a box which had been on fire, that's about the only way. In order to give that burnt flavour, there has to be some form of either bacterial infection, and specifically the only bacteria that I know of that would give you the flavours of combustion is one which is found around undersea fucking vents. There may be others, but I'm pretty sure that hasn't been exposed to any undersea vents, has it, Tricky?
Autolysis.
Autolysis won't give you a burnt flavour.
Burnt
It's
rubber.
not it doesn't give you a burnt flavour.
Burnt. Yeah.
So there's absolutely fucking zero that's going to give you that combusted flavour. There's nothing that's going to give you that burnt sugar flavour either, because that literally is a function of burning it. There has to be some form of high temperature interaction. There's no way that could happen.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I could probably conclude is like you used a new bottle and there might have been something just rattling around in the bottle that perhaps from the manufacturing process or whatever that meant that it added a really bad flavour.
On both of them?
Well, they don't show both of them, do they? So if you don't make mini best of show, then they won't even know.
They would have both been judging the one bottle.
Right.
So that's the thing. It could be one bottle that was fucked, which would explain why the one I tried was great. So
Well, Tricky, there's nothing wrong with the one that I had, mate. It's so good. I want the recipe. That's a really nice beer, mate.
I would like
a really nice beer.
That is summer. That is.
Well, we need to do a group hop by on the Revolution lend,
or
offer that out to the patrons as well for the.
Have we got a VAT number?
Group buy for patrons? That could be a good thing.
No, but if you give me a week, we can have one.
That's what we might need.
There you go. There's an added benefit that might come out for the patrons. Sign up. Patreon.com/the Hop Edition. Get on it.
Yeah, man.
No promises. We may never do that.
Yeah.
No, we probably will. Right. So,
Nipa
time.
I've just had a vape because I needed it.
Oh well, this will be even better.
White, please.
It's completely flavour-free vape liquid, which is shit and it tastes horrible. But
you've got a vice, Chris, so you just got to do that shit.
Yeah, man.
Right. Hang on. I need to find the what's the
21B. 21B.
Right, I've poured it in the same glass as I had the New Zealand Pilsner in. But I don't think that's going to be too bad, given they're both hoppy styles.
So, Andy, do you want to go through it if you've got it up already?
So, is it specialty IPA? Yeah,
that was the category that it was entered in anyway.
It's 21B, isn't it?
Yeah, 21B. So, specialty IPA is a competition entry category, not a distinct style. Beers entered here are not experimental beers. They're a collection of currently produced types of beers that may or may not have any market longevity. Oh dear. This category also allows for expansion, so future IPA variants, St. Patrick's Days Green IPA, Romulan Butte Blue IPA, Zima Clear IPA, etc., have a place to be entered without rewriting the style guidelines. The only common element is that they have a balance and overall impression of an IPA, typically an American IPA, but with some minor tweak. I can't believe, how the hell have they not got an IPA category?
Read Ibo's comment.
21C, it should have been, I fucked up. 21B was 2015. Oh.
Yeah, so they've subsequently added Hazy IPA as 21C.
Tricky, hang on, we've solved yours. That's what happened. That's what happened, mate.
That
A
is
fruit fly went
definitely
in
what
wearing
happened.
rubber underwear and set fire to itself.
It was a Buddhist monk. It came off the front cover of Rage Against the Machine's album. That's what it was.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and going...
Self-immolation. That's
the
the
one.
answer.
What do you want to do? Do you want to continue with this 21B or should we talk?
Well, that
20?
was what it was
Well,
judged
it was
against,
under
so
21B.
We have to.
So it was judged
stick
as
to that category.
21B, but it should have been 21C, which is Hazy IPA.
So the term IPA is used as a singular descriptor of a type of hoppy beer, bitter beer. It's not meant to be spelled out into pale ale when used in the context of a specialty IPA. None of these beers are ever historically went into India, and many aren't pale, but the craft beer market knows what to expect in balance when beer is described as an IPA. So the modifiers used to differentiate them are based
Super
on that
vague.
concept alone. The special IPA category is not intended for classic styles of IPA, which added ingredients such as fruit, spice, wood, smoke,
See
grains,
exactly
or
what's happened
sugars.
here already.
Oh my god, these should be entered appropriate specialty type beer category fruit beer. Okay. The special IPA styles are considered classic styles for entering specialty type category purposes. Classic styles IPAs with unique or special hops should be entered in the appropriate classic style IPA styles. Overall impression, recognisable as an IPA by balance, hop forward, bitter, dryish beer with some else to present to distinguish it from the standard categories. Should have good drinkability regardless of the form. Excessive harshness or heaviness are typically faults, as are strong flavour clashes between the hops and other specialty ingredients. Entry instructions. Entrant must specify a strength, standard, session, double. If no strength is specified, standard will be assumed. Entrant must specify specific type of special IPA from the list of current defined types identified in the style guidelines or as amended by provisional styles on the BJCP website, or the entrant must describe the type of special IPA and the key characteristics in comment form so judges will know what to expect. Entrants may specify specific hop varieties used if entrant feels that the judges may not recognise the varietal characteristics of newer hops. Entrants may specify the combination of defined IPA types, i.e. black rye IPA, without providing additional descriptions. Currently defined types: Belgian IPA, black IPA, brown IPA, red IPA, rye IPA, white IPA, brut IPA.
All those styles.
Fucking that is a mouthful right there, isn't it?
So this is a standard strength at 6.6%. Just to call out as well, the beer that was actually judged was a version 1. So that's what Christian entered into the
so we don't actually have
Scottish National. This is actually version 2, as far as I
which is the
understand
British.
it.
Oh, right, okay. There's UK.
So I'd be interested, just to call out to Christian, what his thoughts are in the differences between version 1 and version 2. But we can nonetheless judge this against the guidelines regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But to note, when we get to the feedback sheets, there might be slight nuances, right?
But this style that he's entered in is basically anything that's IPA-ish that's not previously been defined.
Mm.
And it's like literally 3% to 10%.
So this should have gone into 21C, which is NEPA.
Yeah, which...
Hazy IPA it's described as. Which broadly speaking is, we all know what hazy IPA is: intense fruit, fruit flavors and aromas, soft body, soft mouthfeel, opaque with substantial haze, less perceived bitterness.
Somebody do me a favor and link me to whatever it is that you guys are reading off of, because I'm on bjcp.org and 21C is not giving me anything.
I'll put it in the chat so everyone can go check it out. No, that's not going to help, is it?
That's not going to help all that, mate.
No, that's your computer drive.
If you go to that link there,
yep.
I'll put it in our chat, Chris, so you can access it. And then you can download the PDF. So it's the 2021 style guidelines. So, I mean, aroma then, guys. I mean, I'm getting that very sticky, this is slightly dank.
I'm not getting much
tropical fruit aroma that's really reminiscent of a commercial hazy IPA.
See,
that's what I'm getting.
Are you getting I'm getting very little aroma.
Amazing head retention.
I feel like my sense of smell is fading a little bit at the minute, but
no, Tricky. I don't. See, after yours with it was just coming out the glass. This isn't punching out the glass.
It's not punching out the glass. No, I'd agree with that. It's not quite to the same level as what
it's like
Tricky's was, but
it's like sweet apricot.
Sweet apricot.
Flavors
like ripe mango.
On the flavors.
Yeah, a bit of mango, like papaya. It's more that sort of soft tropical
thing, yeah.
That's on all the flavors.
Rather than a really bright sort of.
It's like
pineapple or.
What's the lollipop? Drumsticks.
For me, it's like more, it's more.
It's like a drumstick lolly on the flavor.
Here's what's interesting.
It's like a peachy apricot, papaya.
So have a read of that. So Christian entered this into the Scottish National. It came second in its category. He then rebrewed it based on the feedback.
Okay.
Made it less bitter. Entered it into the UK National, and it didn't place.
Yep.
Now that just may be a reflection of kind of the quality of the beers in the category that got entered in the UK National versus Scottish. Who knows? And also we've got the differences between B1 and B2, but
then it's also a category misplacement that it's in specialty IPA.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But that has subcategories still, even, doesn't it? So I don't know.
Still. Oh no, this is the one where the bloody talks about priming sugars.
Stop looking at the notes before at the end. You're cheating.
Stop messing up the
process,
system, Andy. You plum. Anyway, I've just had a taste of it. I mean, it is mouthfeel wise
tropical.
Spot on. It's got a lovely silkiness to it. It's got a beautiful head retention. I think it's hazy, but not.
Yeah, I mean, for
hazy.
style, I think mouthfeel and everything else, it's.
Could do a touch more bitterness.
No.
Am I judging this against 21B or 21C?
21B.
If I have to judge it against 21B. Which is what it was judged against, then I have to say this is
if we're gonna
far
judge
too
it
sweet.
2021B, you're gonna have to go to the 2015 guidelines and read those, not the 2021 guidelines.
Oh, okay.
The 2021 guidelines doesn't have hazy IPA as a category in 21B.
What a minefield.
But but it's been judged against 21B as per the 2021 guidelines, hasn't it? It doesn't matter
I guess it
Christian
has been,
It doesn't matter whether he's specified hazy
I think
or NEPA because it doesn't exist
Okay.
in that
So
category, right?
assumably they judged it against just the standard specialty IPA 21B.
That's what they've done,
which
and that's
is
why they've said it was too
recognisable.
sweet because
It is
Yeah.
very sweet.
but not for a NEPA, right?
No,
So
not-
it's
No, but I'm judging it against what it was judged against, and I have to say,
no,
flavour-wise-
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you, Chris. I'm agreeing.
yeah,
with you.
no,
That's-
I'm not saying you're not. What I'm saying is, it's sweet, but with loads of tropical flavour.
Yeah.
I'm not picking up any off flavours at all. I'm picking up a creaminess.
Yeah.
I'm picking up a little bit of that of that malt flavour, just a smidge. It's enough to be able to balance it for me, I have to say, as far as NEPAs go. I'm just going to mute for a sec. The hop flavour is beautiful. Bags and bags and bags of tropical. Weirdly enough, I'm getting pear from this.
Yeah, I picked up pear as well.
I'm getting pear as a flavour, but I'm also getting a weirdly large amount of pineapple and papaya, specifically green papaya, which, Ibo, a lot of people will say that's not right? But green papaya is one of my favourite flavours in the fucking world because I love, like, the food that comes from Guam. Like, Guam, they have this really nice thing that's like pork with green papaya and chilies, and it's fucking stunning. This is a great beer. And I think basically you dropped a bollock by sticking it in 21B as opposed to 21C. Because I think 21C, mate, this would have done really fucking well. This had been up in
much
Yeah,
better than
undoubtedly.
21C.
Yeah, I think
It
that's
would,
why
have
the
been, it would have been high 30s, maybe even low 40s. This is a
I don't
really
even
nice
really want to
beer.
judge this against the wrong category because it just feels like
But we've got to.
I'm just sticking it.
We've got to.
I haven't.
no. Well, you don't really.
I love green papaya. I think it's absolutely fucking stunning. You can get them from Costco for a lot.
I mean,
less,
I'd
mate.
still, you know, if I was judging it in an actual competition, I'd still score it highly just because it was
Decent.
good. Do you know what I mean? Like, and this is a vague category. It's like, you know, the only thing that's really stitched it up is the fact that they're asking for it to be hot, you know, medium high to very high hot bitterness. And other than that, like,
It's banging.
the rest of it, you could probably fudge it through as a fairly high scoring beer, to be
It's
honest.
got a beautiful taste.
I think this one has to be put forward as a pepcac. This is definitely a problem exists between keyboard and chair. Because the beer itself, there's no issues with it whatsoever. And for 21C, it's absolutely bang on. But for 21B, it falls short on like two things. And those are unfortunately the two things that are going to crucify it. It's a lovely
But
beer.
I think the aroma's definitely died off since the original because reading
If-
what they were saying,
If it's died off, mate, what the fuck was it like when it was first brewed?
it's just bouncing out, Chris, because mine's is not.
I've got tons and tons of nose on this.
Mine's I have to stick it right in.
Yeah, but I have to stick my writing because I've only got a short nose anyway. Yours is a bit bigger than mine.
When you go right in, it's like you can smell how tropical it is, but it's just
It's a stunner. It's a good beer, this one.
the flavors and is
Yeah, it's a
So-
lovely bit.
Are we ready to score?
What are we scoring it against? 21B or 21C?
Well, I'm reading the 21B, so I'm scoring it against that.
If we're scoring it against 21B, I've already scored it up and it comes in at a 25.
Wow. Brutal.
Sorry.
Go through your scores. How did you come to that?
Okay, just a minute. So I gave it a 7 on aroma because
Same.
yeah, I gave it a 2 on appearance, and I gave
it
it
a 3 because opaque
Okay.
was still in there as viable.
I gave it a 2 because honestly, I just think that it weren't murky enough.
Not murky enough.
Not murky enough. I gave it an 11 on flavor. I gave it a 3 on mouthfeel. I didn't think that it had enough bitterness on the mouth. An overall impression, I gave it a 5 because
I think broadly speaking, if he'd entered his version 1 into 21B, if it was more, which was more bitter, it would have scored better.
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
I gave it a 34 overall. So,
Chris, I feel really bad for saying that, but that's kind of what it was, mate. Sorry.
I give it a 36.
I mean, I was trying to I downscored it because it wasn't bitter compared to the guidelines. But other than that, the guidelines are vague enough for you to sort of interpret as you like. So I was kind of like, well, I still like it. So 13 for the overall flavour, and I scored it quite highly on everything else. So I gave it a 34.
I rated mine against the kind of more the 21C category, just to provide a different perspective, and I gave it a 38. So I gave it an 8 for aroma out of 12. I just felt like some really good aromas, some just great fruit aroma coming from it, but I agree with Andy, it's maybe just a little bit lacking.
I think it's just age.
Expect it to be jumping out a little bit. Mm-hmm. Appearance, I gave it full marks at 3. Flavour, I gave it 15. Mm-hmm. Mouthfeel, full scores 5 out of 5, and overall a 7 out of 10. A good, really good, solid, very good beer.
Can I give it
a category fuck up, isn't it?
Can I give it my scores against 21C from 2021? Just to make Ibo feel better for me not fucking slamming the fucker. I gave it a 10 out of 12 for aroma. I gave it a 3 out of 3 for appearance. I gave it a 17 for flavour because I do think that the version that I've got in this glass in front of me, and I can only judge off that, was fucking beautiful. I gave it a 5 on mouthfeel. I gave it an 8 on overall impression because I do think even though it's hit everything, the sweetness is a bit over for me. I came in at 43. Sorry, 43.
I think for me, it's all subdued. I think it's just a month older than when it was judged, sort of thing. And I think everything's just came down a little bit. The aromas came down, the flavors came down a little bit, but when you taste it and all those amazing flavors that you've got out of the hops, it's just like, oh, this is good. But it just needs a little amping up. But that's just, I think,
an age thing.
The age, and it's such a thing with this style of beer. It
needs to be as fresh as possible. Yeah.
When we brew these styles, it's like you have got to drink this fresh, and that's the thing. When people beer mail me in Yeepas, it's like if you don't drink it within the first week, then it's like, is there any point drinking it? You know what I mean?
I feel like a cunt having given him 25 based on fucking 21B. I really do. Ibo, it's a gorgeous beer, mate. I fucking love it. I think it's a great beer. I just think when I have to judge it against a set of criteria, which is not what the criteria are, it should have been judged against. I feel like an absolute wanker for saying that. I do, mate, and genuinely, I feel sorry. I do. I'm sitting here with regret for having said what I've said.
Fuck's sake, Chris! Don't start crying.
I'm fucking close, mate, because I don't like telling people that, you know what, I don't fucking like this beer, because I do like the beer. It's just when it's judged against what it has to be judged against, I feel like a wanker for having said that.
Do you know what's funny though, Chris?
What?
This is beer number 4 within the last hour and 48 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm not that pissed. Trust me, dude. I fucking ate the better part of 2.5 kilos of chicken wings.
We've just blasted. No, but we've just blasted through all these beers. Is what I'm saying. We've had quite a few beers actually. I'm surprised that we've managed to actually get through this quite quick.
Yeah, I've got to admit. Oh, and don't take this the wrong way, mate, but I'm not looking forward to that Baltic Porter having drunk this.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to be.
It's got to be done. Let's get stuck in, lads. Come on, Wonder Bevies. See, look, there's a couple of people here whose hangovers are wearing off now, and then there's the ill people who just go, oh.
Ibo, please don't take that in any way to mean that I do not like that beer, because I really do like that beer.
I don't think
it's a very nice beer. It's just, my God, that was a royal fuck up. I mean, dropping it into 21B.
I will say, I've drunk many commercial Neepas that are far inferior to that, and that's about
Oh fuck
as-
yes, absolutely.
As
In fact, I'll go as far
you
as
know.
to name one. I had one from Brew York, and compared to the one from Brew York, mate, yours was a fucking shining star of absolute galactic brewing quality.
what do you guys think about Brew York? Actually, out of
Shit.
interest, generally speaking.
I think they make some really great dark beers.
Yeah,
Their darker beers are better than their lighter beers.
Yeah, I think
think
the
for
light
me, they're
beer-
one
the
of
lighter
those-
beers a bit meh.
where they're
a lot
kind
of
of
the time.
like they're
No point you boys were
teetering.
buying them a lot.
They're teetering between a kind of like tiny rebel level of
Yeah, just
adding
for safe.
flavorings to stuff, and
They're Beavertown.
don't know who else to compare them to on the other side, but like there's some beers that are great, and there's some where it's obviously extreme levels of like synthetic flavoring going into the beers, which are kind of not not great.
I hear you.
But also I just generally like IPAs, and their hazies are all a bit meh.
I
So-
think I had a hazy from them that literally, I think it's the first, probably the only time that I poured a commercial beer that was actually purple from oxidation. But I've also had some of their kind of very limited series barrel aged impies, and they were top drawer, like insanely good. So there you go. Do you want me to run through the Baltic Porter
Yes, we
style
do.
guidelines? All right, let me.
While I sit and drink it.
Right, 2 seconds.
I was getting a bit of balsamic there.
Possibly, mate. I mean, bear in mind, this beer
Just off the bottle.
is old.
No, I've got that.
Is
in
this the beer I had when I came to yours, Owen?
I've got that in the glass
Correct.
as well, mate. That's
I
that's
thought
obviously
it was.
handy.
Is that balsamic? Yeah.
There's a smidge of that kind of almost balsamic flavour, yeah.
I mean, by just to caveat here, guys, by no means I would classify this as being a good beer.
Hold
Are we
It's
ending
like-
on an absolute slaughterhouse here, Owen? Is
Hold
this
It
on.
what
might
you're
be.
saying?
It might be, but equally, it's like it didn't score well. It didn't place. I thought I'd send it to you guys just for purposes of
Yeah.
objectivity and to kind of see sort of what kind of comes out. So this is, according to the 2021 guidelines, 9C Baltic Porter. So this is a strong, dark, malty beer with different interpretations within the Baltic region. Smooth, warming, and richly malty, with complex dark fruit flavours and a roasted flavour without burnt note. Okay, so basically, it's a reasonably big stout, but made with a bottom fermenting yeast. So you're going to expect on the aroma rich maltiness, often containing caramel, toffee, nuts, deep toast and licorice notes, complex alcohol and ester profile of moderate strength, reminiscent of plums, prunes, raisins, cherries or currants, occasionally with a vinous port-like quality, deep malt accents of dark chocolate, coffee or molasses, but never burnt, no hops, no sourness, smooth, not sharp impression. Appearance will be dark reddish copper to opaque dark brown colour, but not black, which I think I did pretty well on that front. You'll hold it up to the light. Flavour, as with aroma, so rich maltiness with complex blend of deep malt, dried fruit esters and alcohol. It talks a bit about prominent yet smooth Schwarzbier-like roasted flavour, but stopped short of burnt.
Yeah, it's not
Light
bad.
hints of blackcurrant and dark dried fruit, smooth palate and full finish. Starts malty sweet, but darker malt flavours quickly dominate and persist through to a drier finish. Mouthfeel, generally quite full-bodied and smooth. That's probably about it. But typically you would expect the beer to be 6.5 to 9.5%. It's
What was-
normally a heavy hitting beer. Mine, I think, came in due to yet again my failure to be able to brew properly. Came in at
7.
5.5%.
5.5%.
5.5%, yeah. So I don't know what happened on that day, but it didn't go well.
Owen,
Uh,
there's a lot of people in the chat, currently those of us who are follically fucking disabled, who are currently very jealous of your wonderful mane of hair.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with it today. Probably a bit like my general mental and physical well-being. It's up in
It's
the air.
manifesting itself in your hair.
Yeah. Normally, when I'm like feeling a little bit stressed out, what I do is I do this, and then my hair gets really big.
That is a fantastic head of hair, mate. You should be proud of that.
Thank you. So, broadly speaking, I massively undershot the ABV, which obviously is going to impact on kind of body,
Is it though?
flavour, that kind of thing. This is the George Washington recipe from Lab,
It does not taste like it.
which is, interesting.
Yeah, it's tricky's not. I'm at like the nose. Are you getting that? I get the balsamic.
Right.
Definitely
So
getting in I don't
want to steer anyone else, but my immediate thought was pickled walnuts when I smelled that beer. Like,
Pickled walnuts, wow.
I disagree with the pickled walnuts, but I definitely get a nutty kind of almost walnut.
but you got the balsamic vinegar thing, Andy. Right?
But it's a
Like,
touch.
It's like that sort of balsamic, 100%.
it was
Yeah,
it was just like one of those things where it just
balsamic.
twigged that one like association. The smell was like that smells like a jar of like not normal pickles, but a pickled nut. Like,
Walnutty pickles.
But the flavours, like,
I mean, it goes away a bit once it's in the glass, but then it becomes a little bit more plummy, kind of.
so use this pickles.
I don't really get malt off of it.
I'm getting like
a
a toast, like an actual like brown bread toast.
Yeah, wholemeal
Thing.
toast, definitely.
Yeah.
You're getting gherkin on the flavour.
I'm getting a smidge of like, for want of a better term, I'm gonna say like fucking like a really deep, almost black caramel.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
Getting a lot of that. I'm getting a smidge of coffee, not much, not as much as I got when I was down your way, Owen. The coffee's kind of gone away. There was much more of a coffee flavour to it when I was down yours. I'm getting that dark roast. I'm getting, honestly, I think the body's very thin on it. I don't think it's anywhere near where it should be. There's not enough body on this. Yeah. I'm also severely struggling with head retention, as you can see from the glass.
Yeah.
I honestly, mate, I think you've just entered a beer that's a bit too old.
I think I have, yeah. I don't know what possessed me to enter it, to be honest. I think it may have been a case that
it was a nice beer, and you had it.
It was a banger when I was at Owen's.
I think, you probably find
it back then.
It's a great bit. Okay. Why do you think I drank fucking 6 pints of it on the Saturday night?
You didn't. You had.
I fucking did.
You said you didn't like it.
No, mate, I had 6 pints of it. I had fucking 6 pints. Maybe 4, but certainly more than fucking 1.
Was this brewed like a year and a half ago?
Yeah, I reckon I brewed this given this Chris drank it in July last year.
Yeah.
Now, when did I actually make it?
You said you brewed it in April.
It's been aging for 244 days.
You said you brewed it in April, didn't you?
April time, yeah, probably about a year ago.
It's not too bad.
I think honestly, it's just it's tipped over that point where it was right at its best. I think it's just tipped over.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of like diacetyl in it. I think
there's a smidge of butter.
I think it's slightly. I think there's a bit more than a smidge.
It is slick on the tongue.
That's it. It's a popcorn.
Popcorn.
There's a slickness on the tongue when you drink it.
It is definitely popcorn.
That's
Now-
that's what diacetyl was.
Now we know
Thank
what
you, and-
diacetyl tastes like. Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely there.
and that's what the whole, like I was saying, was the what do you call it, what was I saying, the that vinegar, balsamic.
yeah.
Balsamic.
Yeah, I was about to highlight that comment as well, Chris. Well done.
Fucking ticking the diversity box, are we?
It's
about?
literally
Fucking
like
hell.
the 4 stages of baldness, isn't it? Like, go round.
Ah.
Chris, final stage. Just give it up. Me,
Off.
still clinging on to a little thatch on the top. Andy, your time
Severe
will come.
widow's peaks.
And then Owen,
I've had
fully
all the stuff on my
fledged.
There's no way this is disappearing, boys. I've
The
got this
funny,
for
the
life.
funny, like, see if you look at photos of me when I was younger, like I've always had a widow's peak, so I'm like kind of like, fingers crossed, I'm not getting bald. Yeah, it's just that's always been like that.
Give it
Good
time,
luck
you
with that.
Scottish
Fingers
wanker.
crossed.
And my dad's
Yeah,
totally,
so coming back to the beer, then I think we're broadly concluding it's a bit of a
diacetyl bomb.
shitter.
Oh, it's such fucking popcorn.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going
No,
to
you
score
cooled
mine.
out.
Give me a minute. Or
Right,
two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to score it, and I think it's going to be pretty brutal.
That's mad. That's so cool. But that's really cool that now I know what diacetyl smells like.
I think it can appear in different
So you're
ways,
like,
right?
thanks for sending me the shit beer, so I know what that do.
No, but it's, do you know what? See when you drink this beer's really good in flavour. It's just weird on the aroma. And I was
Well,
like, what the heck is that?
You know what? I partly shared this beer with you because I entered it for reasons unknown to history, but
Did they
also
pick up
that
on
I
Diacetyl?
kind of also knew it was a bit shit. So I thought, it would just be quite good to be able to like give you objectively a relatively bad beer to review, rather than let's just all have really good beers. Well, again, I mean, I may have just gone wrong.
So have you guys seen the judges' notes on your aroma? Big hit of diacetyl
Oh,
initially.
no, stop, because I've not fucking
Not yet,
looked at
not
the
yet.
judge's notes.
Stop
No.
breaking
no.
the system, Andy.
Pack it in, you
I'm
fucking
gonna walk to
deep
Scotland
fried
and slap you in
Mars
the
wank
face.
puffin. Give up.
He says not this
Aroma.
displeasing.
Mm,
Oh,
aroma.
we're doing scores.
Yeah, scores first.
Right, okay. Yeah.
My ability to add up is fading quickly during this podcast, so just bear that in mind.
Flavor out 20. I'm probably gonna give it a.
So it's... Oh God, Owen.
I apologise in advance for my score.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, mate. No, honestly, I'm not precious about this at all. Like, I knew it was a shit beer, and
Actually, pretty in line
I
with the judges.
genuinely, I'm
All right.
not in the
Well,
slightest bit.
I gave it a 24.
Oh wow, that
it's
is
more
low
than
tricky.
me,
Fuck
Tricky.
Jake.
Really?
Come on.
So I thought aroma 5. Like I said, pickled walnuts. That's my main takeaway.
Balsamic vinegar, pickled walnuts, yeah.
Balsamic vinegar, but they did have some of the dark fruit plummy notes. The appearance, I didn't really can't see why you could mark it down, so I gave it 3 for appearance.
Yeah.
Flavor was 9, lacking body,
That's nice.
popcorn flavor. Yeah, the diacetyl maybe.
Yeah.
Mouthfeel, I think I gave it a 3. I can't read my notes now. And then overall 4 out of 10. So that worked out to 24. So
Yeah, 6. I gave it 30.
I gave it 21
Yeah.
because on reflection, it's genuinely a judgeable beer.
It's full of applause.
Okay, we're ready. I've even given fucking descriptors on this one. So aroma, 6 out of 12. Numb is the best way to describe it. I feel
Numb.
this beer is neither one way nor the other. Appearance 3 out of 3. It's all right from far, but it's far from all right. Flavor 11. Balsamic vinegar nuts, lacking complexity. Also feels a little wishy-washy, is what I've put down. Mouthfeel number 2. Thin, fairly weak flavor intensity, lacking the punch that is required.
Yeah.
And then the most damning one, Owen, please don't hate me for this. Overall, I've given it a 5. It is drinkable, but a bit meh.
Yeah, well, I gave it.
You should definitely do some BJCP judge training, Chris, because you're bang on there, mate.
Wishy-washy, meh.
So
that's the sort of feedback we all want.
I gave it a 27.
Well, I think you were being pretty generous there, to be fair.
To be fair, I could have given it a 4 on flavour, I'll be honest.
Well, let's just be honest. I'm going to go back to drinking Christian's Nipah.
So
I've got 3/4 of a pint of this to get through.
Guys, see if you look at the actual scoring, right? Good, fair, problem, very good, excellent, outstanding. Do you think so, Chris? Yours lands in good, misses the mark on style and or minor flaws.
Yeah, minor flaws is the best way I describe that beer. And I feel bad for saying that, Owen. I really do.
I mean, there's a reason why it's still in the keg.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm guessing it's not going to be in the keg for very long.
Not meaning to be offensive or anything, but I'm not sure minor flaws is.
I think it's got major flaws. Yeah,
I think it's a bit beyond that, but
yeah, major.
Yeah, I think the Diastole thing's pretty terrible.
Uh-huh.
So some of the feedback that we got was scored first one. It scored 33 out of 50.
Really?
Yeah, and
Fucking
the second score sheet was 28. So that would have put it in overall at what? 30?
29.
29. So top end of good to very good, which I'm impressed.
Yeah,
with.
I mean, again, I'm not wanting to be like offensive about the beer or anything, but that is fucking generous judging as far as I'm concerned. Like,
yeah, it probably is. They've called out the big hit of Diastole. Appearance was good to style. I think head retention was pretty poor, to be fair. No complexity, sweet and unfinished tasting. Cloying and astringent, thin and slick. Good, but I think it needs more time. Probably not. Concentrate on temper, fermentation, and lagering would help. I think, all told, I think it was just generally bad brewing for
Fucking hell. Owen, here comes a knife in the back, mate. Check this out.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
Yeah, we all did. That was
the
That's
reason
the
I
knife
brewed
in the
beer.
back, is that, mate?
No,
It
but
is. I think we can all conclude that Graham's brewing is considerably better than mine.
I had that beer and I was like, this is excellent. What a beer.
It really was.
We missed it. I didn't brew it either, the George Washington one, and I was like, yeah, that was excellent.
It was a great beer.
It was up there with the what was the other one we all like? The dark beer that we all brew.
Oh,
Oakham.
The day one.
Oakham, well done.
Oakham Stomp, yeah. To be fair, I know where I've gone wrong with this beer because I took the George Washington recipe and I scaled it down because I didn't want a keg of 7% Baltic Porter.
Yeah, that is
or 8%. It's supposed to be an 8% beer, and I was like, I don't want an 8% beer. I'm never going to drink that. So I scaled it down, intending for it to be a kind of 5.5%, 6% beer. So immediately I've compromised the guidelines.
Yeah.
For the beer style, right? So that's not a good start. And then clearly there was some fermentation issues with Diastole. And also then when I actually brewed it, I ended up like not hitting the points and all the rest of it. So you live and learn. But what else did they say? So some of the other feedback: aroma, rich malt dominating, dark fruits, chocolate, but undertones were faint. Good head retention. Apparently, I'm not seeing that, but I think the colour's right. Flavour, the malt was dominating, less complex, so lack of complexity basically. Mouthfeel was medium bodied, but smooth and some warmth. But I think in reality it needs to really be quite a big bodied beer. Very drinkable, good solid beer with which may become more complex and deep over time. No, it won't.
No, definitely
it will
not.
It's
like
not. It's not
It's
getting
going to
better
become
with age,
less deep
judging
over
on
time.
this one.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
No. Well, there you go. You don't have to.
Sorry,
drink
Owen.
all
We've
of it.
gone from peak to trough with your two beers, mate, honestly.
We have.
We should have
yeah.
had that Baltic Porter really as number one, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Get that out of the way. But it was a dark beer, and
That's the
why
one that
we
needs
put
the
it
water
last.
mouthwash and
you know,
little.
yeah.
Oh, I've run out of rice
But, yeah,
crackers.
not
Owen,
the best-
Owen,
not the
do
best
me a
beer.
favour, man. Don't take this to heart. You know where the flaws are. You know how to fix it. All right. It's an old beer, and I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think sometimes, it's probably too old.
And look
But-
at it this way: no matter how hard you try,
I
your
don't-
hair will never look
look,
like this.
Owen's a very experienced
Thanks.
brewer,
That's
and he
reassuring.
knows that isn't his best beer. So you're not going to be upset if we tell you it. Doesn't taste great, are you? You
It's
know?
not like the first beer I've made.
I
and
want
I'm
you
on
to tell me
tenterhooks.
that my beer is shit if it's not that great either. So
Yeah, I mean, if I genuinely
know.
thought this was brilliant and I'd send it to you guys and then you slated it, then I'd be upset. But it's also like I know it's a bit of a shit beer. So
Can I just say? Can
Not
I
that
give you a
much.
bit of a tip
exactly.
for your next?
We want to be reassured when we think a beer is wank, as well as we
absolutely.
want to be reassured when we think it's good. You know, so
you've definitely done that tonight, Tricky. Thank you.
Can I just say that I think as a
I'm here for you, buddy. I'm here for you.
Cheers,
As a-
buddy.
as a suggestion-
You got my back.
as a suggestion for your next beer entry, I think you need to remake that passion fruit kettle sour that you did.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's on the list for the summer.
That's a
Yeah.
fucking superb beer, that mate.
What was the other one? It was it the sour one?
Oh,
The-
the Goza.
No, the one that was the Flanders Red.
Oh, you tried that. You would have tried that at when you came to
Down, I'm sure.
town. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to have another go at Flanders Red. I'd be quite keen to buy a barrel though. To do that.
Do it on.
Yeah, like
Can
because it is traditionally a barrel aged beer
Get the
stock.
oak.
I've got a mate who's got a Flanders Red in a barrel at the minute.
Has he? Yeah.
Mr.
Nice.
Seaton.
Oh.
Simon's
Oh,
got. I don't.
Simon,
Actually, wait there. Whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
he
whoa.
was
Does he have
asking
it?
for some advice?
Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he has it in a barrel. He might just have it in a fermenter.
I think
Don't
he
know if he's
wanted
got
to
it in
put it
barrel.
in barrel though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He's probably just thrown a load of oak in it. I don't think he's actually barreled it.
Well, that's what I did. I just added. I got some old French oak wood
Yeah.
and put that in.
Mhm.
Can I
Seems to
just
do the
ask you a
job.
question? Can I ask a question? Clearly, we're getting towards the summer. Where are we going this summer? Are we going to Scotland?
I don't know.
Basically,
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
Andy, is do your Kamado skills mean that we can come over to yours, or do we have to go to JP's?
No, come to me.
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure that JP's fucking barbecue skills are in excess of yours.
Fuck JP, it's my fucking. I'm on the pod. It's my house.
He's got
Alright.
his pizza game down. To be fair,
If his
Yeah.
pizza game's down, I'm fucking down for it.
Just, do you know what? I made the Memphis dust tonight. Made some Memphis
Good shit,
dust.
man.
and
It's good shit.
put it- Yeah, that was a good shout. And
Yeah, man.
super excited for barbecue season, lads.
Oh, mate, you
I'll
should
tell
be
you
if you've
what,
got
I bought 2 of those like cheap fucking pork shoulders from Sainsbury's earlier in the week, and then got home, fucking pissing down with rain all day, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, put them in the freezer. They ain't fucking coming out anytime soon.
So what I'll say, lads, is all you need to do is get Tricky. You just need to jump on a cheap flight from Luton or whatever to Glasgow. Chris probably
Play.
just
I'll get on a train.
choo-choo, Glasgow Central. Probably cost you about 30 quid.
It won't even cost me
On-
that, mate. I've got a sister who works for him.
On, I don't know the best way if you
Fly.
if you go Gatwick or
I'll just fly out, mate.
yeah.
No, I've
Oh,
got from Southampton.
Yeah, you could. I don't know if that would be cheap though, but yeah.
Anyway, move on, guys.
Maybe
Can I
wrap
just
this
say
one
I have really fucking enjoyed this episode. I have genuinely. I think it's been brilliant. I know I joined a little bit late, but I've really enjoyed it.
I hope the people watching it have thought the same because yeah, it's been good.
It's good to know that even though we didn't cheat and we didn't check out the judges' stuff beforehand. Well, most of us except for Andy.
Cheating bastards.
I think genuinely we have actually come to a conclusion that even though we've been a few points up or maybe a few points down, we have been generally in the ballpark.
I think that's the surpriser for me tonight was how close we were to the judges' scores actually.
Yeah,
and you weren't taking the judges' scores into account. It was like, what do we think? And then it's like, oh, we're a few points in around about the judges' scores. So
and that's where the subjectivity of it comes in.
Apart from one beer tonight.
Trickies.
And that was Trickies.
Yep.
Yeah. Because that beer was incredible.
You got fucking shafted, Trick.
That's why I was gutted, mate. Because I genuinely thought, like, out of the 3 beers, like 2 were just kind of like they're good. And those 2 beers did score. Right. Well, actually, one of the beers I put in was the Murgy Straight, right? For lack of anything else, I was like, I'll put that in, and it's old. It's a golden ale. And I knew it was going to get like.
You gave that to me when I was over
it scored like mid-30s, and I was like, yeah.
That's probably right.
And that's fine. And it's a little bit like edging towards American Pale Ale in the hoppiness, and that was kind of what they said about it to an extent. One of the judges said it had acetaldehyde on it. I was like, no, it doesn't. It's just got like
Talus.
Spiky hops on it, right? But and the other one was supposed to be Smells Lagery, but the beer was too old, and I put it in the Scottish, and it didn't rate that well because it wasn't hoppy enough. So I put in a German Pils in its place because I couldn't change the category. And that still scored a 30, mid-30s as well. So I was happy with the scoring on both of those.
Yeah.
And the best beer that I put in got a fucking 24. I was like, motherfucker!
That was going to win.
Can I just say, though, if we're going to call beer of the night, it has to be this fucking medicine.
Oh, no, for me too. That was the mid, like...
Holy shit, that was like...
Beautiful
100% 40 plus scored beer.
It was easily mid-40s.
Well, it did score mid-40s. It did score 44 from one of the judges, right? So
it is easily a mid-40s
unlucky
beer.
Not to get a gold, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. To be fair, if the other judge had been a qualified judge, I think this would have been a completely different story.
Yeah,
maybe, but equally, it
got into best in show, didn't it? So
it got to mini best in show.
So it becomes a. Well, I say that, but one of the judges obviously had a different opinion on that beer, so yeah, it may have had an impact, but. Who knows?
I lost gold place to a beer that placed, I think, 4th best in show. So clearly that it was a Schwarz beer by a lady called Laura Braid, which I think she also entered the same beer into the Scottish National, and I think she placed pretty well there as well. So she clearly had a very, very good beer.
It's a great beer, man.
So had I, like if the other judge had also given it, say, a 44, like, yeah, it might have got gold, but there you go.
It would have got a gold, mate. It literally would. There's no way you can get two scores of 44-45 without getting that wonderful sort of banging.
No, that's not how it works, though, Chris. So you get into mini best of show in terms of the scores. And then it becomes like a subjective, which one do you like the best?
Yeah. Then it becomes a ballet contest.
Even more of a ballet contest.
Yeah. Fuck that then.
It's just fair.
Then you're comparing styles to styles.
Because they don't stop just at the scores, because otherwise there would be no mini best of show, would there? It's like the mini best of show is we've scored these 3, which one is top, which one is second, which one is third.
That beer is fucking fire. I don't care.
But I'd have put that in gold place. I don't even know what the other beers were, but I would have put that on in gold place.
I'm getting some love from Luke in the chat. Good lad.
You should, mate. You should.
Love you.
Right,
too.
guys. I'm going to say it because everybody else has been saying it for the last few weeks. That is episode 88 in the bag. Tricky is currently fucking arseholed. I can tell because he's slurring every word.
Yeah, I also get feeling that cold.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. It's all about the cold. It's nothing to do with the 7 beers. Andy Andy is currently recovered from his hangover, and so is Owen. So what we're going to do?
They're topping up their hangovers. That's how they work.
What we're going to do is we're going to move to a after party right now. The link is currently in the chat. The link is also on Discord. So if you are a Patreon, the link is right there for you. Grab it, jump on. Everything's wonderful. There's a load of people going ding dong wanting to be admitted. I will sort you out in a few moments. So just chill, calm down, take a breath. The other thing that I want to say is thanks for joining us. This has been a new thing for us, actually trying to do a bit of beer judging. It's good to know from what it is that the judges have actually said. We're very, very close. And it also highlights the issue with judging one of these competitions. Now, before we move any further, what I do want to say, and I've wanted to say this, okay, is I've got fucking false teeth, Andy. Cut me some slack. So, as a podcast, we want to draw attention to the lack of qualified judges. There are training courses around that you can do, and it can be done as part of a homebrew club. It would be massively beneficial to this wonderful hobby of ours as a whole to have a much greater number of trained people to increase the standard of judging at competitions. We've drawn attention tonight to some judging which has maybe been not where it should be, and we want to correct that. So, if you have the opportunity to go out and do your BJCP judging program, do it. Number one, it's going to increase the standard of judging in our hobby. Number two, it's a great thing to do. Number three, you're also going to realize what those off flavors are that you taste in the beer that you don't know. Okay.
BJCP judging does involve the training, even involves drinking all of those exemplar beers in each style. So you can basically just spend about 12 weeks getting pissed on like fucking, peak examples of each category. So bear that in mind. It's worth doing.
The only other thing that I want to say is that it does seem that there are newer qualified judges out there who seem to be deliberately looking for issues. Rather than judging the beer as a whole, they seem to be looking for issues. Suggestion is a very powerful thing. I'm saying this as an overall thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this has happened, but this needs to be taken into account. This is something that could be affecting the judging within competitions.
Or packaging. Packaging could be an issue.
This fucking cough is going to kill me. So, episode 88 in the bag. Tick the box. Get yourself on the after party. Let's have a chat about this. Let's see just how pissed Tricky can truly get, because he is currently quite wankered. His eyes have almost gone fucking amber. So we're going to do this. We're going to get on. We're going to have a bit of a chat. We're going to have a few more beers. And guys, thank you for joining us. Thanks to all of our Patreons, specifically our new second ever American Patreon, Charlie J. You legend. Thank you for joining us. And also, let's just call this one where it is, shall we, boys?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right, tick the box. We're done. Go click on the after party link and we will catch you soon. Say goodbye, you wonderful humans.
Ta-ra.
Yeah, Tricky's gone for a piss or something. So we're going to see you later, guys. Have fun. Catch you later. Bye.